All right, well, Dale's going to click around there for a second. 57, anything else we need to know? I see where you're going with the agenda.
Going places, deep, dark places that we've never been before. That's not true.
We've been to all these places.
And back again.
Yeah. What is that called? There and Back Again, A Hobbit's Journey?
By Bilbo.
By Bilbo Baggins?
By Dildo? What?
No, Jesus. This is already.
That's a different one.
That's a different film.
That's the porn parody, yes.
Okay.
We've probably all seen that one too, but actually no, because who wants to see a Hobbit? Yeah. Hobbit
You don't
sex
like
sounds...
furry feet? Come on, man.
No, I'm not a furry feet fetish guy. Sorry. I'm gonna go throw up for a second. Hold on,
I'm glad that was recorded.
Damn it! Got me again. All right. We ready to roll? Because it's 9:15. If we don't get this shit going, this thing is gonna take forever.
It's gonna take forever anyway.
Yeah, good point.
SNAFU. Situation normal. All fouled up. This is SNAFU.
All right. Welcome to another episode of SNAFU. I'm Rick. This is episode 57. Jesus. Happy New Year. Everyone say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
In case you didn't hear, that's Jeff, Pat, and Dale. We're all still here. 5 years in the making. Right? 5 years?
Next month we'll be in our 5th year, yes.
Dear Lord. Okay. Well, welcome to another episode. We're going to go back in time to an old topic. That's, I don't know, did this come up, Pat, did this come up in other discussions online? Is that why we're going back to this?
Well, before our last episode, we threw out a Facebook thing saying, hey, what kind of topics you guys like us to talk about? And more than several people felt we had something to add for Partisans that we didn't cover back 2.5 years ago in episode 11. So
we'll probably give you exactly the same
new model lines out that work well for Partisans.
There are.
That's
the big thing. I think that was
the
the thing that triggered it. Maybe is that there are a bunch of new models. Right. So let's jump right into it. So in case you didn't know, we're going to talk about Partisans. We're going to talk about hobby stuff. We got some social media updates. A bunch of other stuff. We'll go through this. So let's start with hobby updates. Jeffrey, what are you working on these days?
Mostly printing and painting, which is good. I think I talked last episode about I have way more stuff printed now than I know what to do with, and it's only gotten worse since then. I think I've busted through 6 or 7 more rolls of filament since the last episode. So,
Dear Lord, how many kilometers is that?
Well, I just surpassed, I think, the 13th kilometer yesterday.
It's further than I can walk.
It's further than I can walk. Which also necessitated I've worn out my second brass nozzle with PLA, which is impressive if you're in 3D printing and you know how much filament it takes to wear out a nozzle with PLA.
How many hours of printing do you get per spool, roughly?
I think I figure it's something around 60 to 70.
Oh, that's pretty good. It's not so bad.
Yeah, well, and that's a guess. I mean, I would have to double check that,
I keep meaning to do a tally on that, but then I think of it when I'm halfway through a spool, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's one.
Now it's a little hard to judge at this point, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right. Well, and some things take longer because they're more technical. I mean, it's hard to say for sure because I don't perfectly track it either, but, I mean, I figure I get at least 4 or 5 16-hour prints out of a spool, which is 32, 30, 60-ish hours plus or minus.
Yeah, of course, it also depends on what layer thickness you're pumping through there.
Right, and if I have any cock-ups where I have to throw away, however much is printed already, that happens. So I think I tried to break my hot end putting the new nozzle in, so that was my excitement.
Oh, yeah, I know how to replace those now.
Yeah, well, changing a nozzle should be about a 3-minute job if you know what the hell you're doing, and I thought I knew what the hell I was doing, and clearly I didn't. It ended up being about a 3-hour job, which is stupid.
See, that's what happens when you're like, I think I know what I'm doing. I'm not gonna, not gonna watch it on YouTube and.
Yeah, totally new enough to be dangerous.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it was. So, but yeah, so I printed a ton of stuff. I've got one very dense table printed, or more likely 2 or 3 normal tables printed, and then I printed up about a third of that Italian airborne army I have, and then kind of just. I don't know. It's hard to motivate yourself when you're not going to be putting models on a table.
Yeah, it's so.
I hate it, but it's true. It's just really hard to motivate yourself.
It is hard, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, so I figure as long as I can print, I feel like I'm still hobbying pretty hard.
Yeah, that's something.
Sure. At some point, I'm going to use my mask for a purpose that isn't going out and buying groceries, and I'll get the airbrush kicked up again and really just paint the hell out of all this terrain. So.
Yeah, I don't recommend bringing your airbrush to the grocery store.
Nobody probably even noticed, quite honestly. You just set up in the bread aisle and just start blasting.
It probably wouldn't, honestly.
I was going to say, it's kind of a weird tangent, but like I actually went grocery shopping the other day, and I was like, I think it was trying to buy a grapefruit. I'm like, and like the best way to tell if a grapefruit's right or not is if you smell it. Like if it's ripe, you can smell it. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm got a mask on. How am I supposed to smell this thing?
Aren't you supposed to thunk it or something?
That's a watermelon.
That's a melon, yeah.
Yeah. No, grapefruit just typically have, like, I don't know, I've always just learned what a ripe grapefruit smells like. So it's pretty easy. You just sniff it, but it's a little bit harder with a mask on. I felt kind of rogue by pulling my mask down below my nose for a second and sniffing it.
Like 3 people yell and point at you.
the
I can see his nose.
Somebody in the corner striking the flint to get their torch lit and come after you. Guy's pulling the pitchfork out of his pocket.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I didn't whatever grocery store I was in. I'm not going to name names, but they one of the guys behind me was loading fruit into the thing, and they were actually using their walkie-talkie. Somebody was using their walkie-talkie in the store, saying, "There's a small lady with gray hair that doesn't have a mask on in such aisle. Somebody needs to go get her." So they were like paying attention. So security was paying attention to it apparently. So I mean, I commend them for that. So anyway, that's just a weird tangent. So I don't know.
We live in.
Somebody tell me how you check a grapefruit without smelling it. Good luck. Anyway,
I feel bad enough. Like I buy produce, like limes and stuff, and I always tell if a lime's going to be good because I pick it up and I feel it, and I can usually tell if it's going to be overripe, underripe, whatever. And it's like I feel weird picking up different fruits and setting them back down, even.
Right?
Yeah. I've had that same feeling too. You just kind of have to accept it and just wash your limes and shit. Like nobody washes limes, but you kind of have to wash it all now.
Have to now.
Yeah.
Hey, you're also you wash the doorknobs and the light switches too. I never knew that.
Yep.
Where, at home?
Yeah.
Oh, God. That sounds like a hell of a lot of work. I'm done.
Jesus, you guys. Fucking hell.
All right.
First of all, you don't have gloves with you in the grocery store? Amateurs.
No.
You should be carrying those gloves and using them. They've got them. The grocery stores I go to, they provide gloves. So you can't buy a good avocado without actually, that's how you figure out how ripe it is how it feels.
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
So, you got to be prepared for stuff like that. So.
No, I don't. My grocery store isn't bourgeois enough to give us.
Yeah,
gloves.
no, it's definitely not bougie for me either.
I am a bougie grocery store.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'd like to be.
You're a Lund's Byerly's guy, aren't you? Or
I may actually end up going to places like that quite often. Yes.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
But their stuff's the best. So,
their stuff is the best when you can.
They have carpet.
I found a white macadamia cookie thing that they had there this week that I was pretty excited about. Anyways,
that sounds delicious.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, right. All right, well, Dale, since we're talking, what have you worked on any hobby stuff lately?
No, not miniature hobby related. Anyways, picked up, but it's not related to this podcast, so I won't go into it.
No, I want to go into it for a second because I want to know how it tasted.
It actually tasted really good. My son got me a smoker.
Yeah,
and so I last week I pre-seasoned it and took care of all the initial stuff and set up, and then I threw a pork shoulder into it Friday, and today's Saturday, so yesterday, and it turned out really well. I didn't know really what I was doing, but I think pork shoulder is super forgiving.
It is.
They're like the veteran infantry of bolt action, smoking meats. They're pretty hard to screw up.
The American veteran infantry.
So you just kind of, it's a fire and forget kind of a thing. Anyways, but it turned out really good.
That's awesome.
Coming back to the miniature aspects of this, get the hobby time kicked off for me when it comes to painting again. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, cool.
I was thinking, Dale, another way to relate that to your hobby time. If you build some MDF terrain again, and you ever want to give it that authentic, that in the smoker for a while.
No,
I can't even imagine how that would flavor.
Oh, that would like MDF stinks like shit anyway. Like putting
I
it.
like how it smells when you crack open that MDF package after it's been plastic wrapped a little bit.
It smells like cancer. Like
that sends my wife out of the room pretty quick.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know.
A little bit of
like
burnt
it.
wood smell. I kind of like it.
Yeah, it reminds me of model rocketry when I was a kid.
That's
good
fair.
call. Yeah, that's exactly
Okay,
right.
so here's
especially after you fire those engines off and then you go retrieve them.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's totally what it reminds me.
Okay, so I will clarify my statement. I agree. I actually like the smell. What I don't like is when I'm like done. I've been done doing it for like 2 hours, and like I've washed my hands like 8 times, and my hands still stink like the shit. Like that, I don't like so much.
Did you try soap?
What is soap?
Yeah, you don't fish enough. You got to learn how to get that smell off your hands, man.
You just rub it on stainless steel.
No, I swear to God, a Diet Coke.
Really?
Dump Diet Coke on your hands, just like you're washing your hands in Diet Coke.
Like for real.
It's weird, but that's what we do to get fish gut smell off our hands when we're up at camp.
I know.
Rick, that's a stainless steel thing. Is that a thing? For real?
Yeah, no, yeah. They make you can buy them on Amazon. They make stainless steel soap bars.
I got one of those for Christmas because I do a lot of cooking and my hands with the garlic especially.
Yep.
A couple of days after that, and it was in my stocking, and my daughter's like, "Oh yeah, you just use that after you cook, and it'll get the garlic smell away." And I kind of scoffed at that.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that it actually works, but if you can use the top of your like faucet, like even Chrome works. But yeah, you just rub your hands on it and it makes the garlic smell go away. I have no idea why it does it, as crazy as it is, but
anyway. All the MDF scraps I keep for broken down buildings and rubble and shit like that. Though,
yeah,
so.
don't use it to smoke meat. I'm gonna throw that out there. It's probably not recommended.
If I smoke something with MDF, Jeff, you're gonna have to eat it.
Oh
Jesus
gosh,
Christ,
that sounds
no.
awful.
Okay, all right.
I was more going for that perception on a bolt action table where there's burning buildings and they smell like burning. Sort of like when it's made out of candy canes, it makes you vomit.
I was gonna go there, but I decided not to. I'm glad someone
don't
did.
do a horse field then. Is all I'm gonna do.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that either.
Let's keep it to visual authenticity if we could.
Yeah, I appreciate not having to feel like I'm going to throw up while I'm playing a game.
If we're able to master the visual aspects, then perhaps we can branch out and maybe try other things. I would probably branch off. I'd probably do auditory before I would do
olfactory,
smell and taste.
Yeah. Just lick it. It smells authentic.
Wow, it smells like a bunch of people are dying.
It's in one of our
Operation SNAFU. It's like you're really there.
we just forget having it inside the ballroom. We just do it outside, and it's like we're just actually doing Battle of the Bulge in the snow. That's how we're gonna roll next year. Bring your snow gear, and we might have to. Shit, that might be the only way we're allowed.
Let's not sink that shit.
I know. We're not there yet. All right. Anyway, so that was you, Dale.
Yep.
I will follow that and say I have done little to no modeling, but I've also smoked meat. But that's just normal for me.
That's a different podcast.
That's a totally different podcast. Well, we might as well just start that podcast. Whatever. No.
No thanks. I don't want to be
Not suitable for work.
Not that kind, you perverts.
You're the meat smoker.
Yeah.
I appreciate that I didn't bring up any of the innuendo, but somehow the first thing you dip your toe in and everybody piles on.
Yeah, I know. That's just par for the course. So, so we'll get into some of this other stuff. I've been actually doing a bunch of, I wouldn't say a bunch, but some behind the scenes stuff. We'll get to it in a second. Pat, how about you? What have you been working on?
Actually, quite a bit. I finished it. So
Nice.
I got the motor pools all done now. All the guys are done, put away, and just wait to make a list for. Ideally, Bug Eater might happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hoping for that. So it's either that or I might have my Soviets done by then.
Good God.
I've got the first 20-plus guys assembled out of, which is probably going to be 80 or so.
Oh, I can't even imagine putting those guys together. Sorry, Pat.
Yeah, so here's what I've done, is I've committed to myself during the week to assemble 5 guys a night.
Okay. Did you clip them all off the sprue and put them in little bins?
They're still on the sprue. I clip them as I assemble them.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Occasionally I'll get a wrong left arm somewhere and those go away, but there's enough of those in the sprue.
Yes, sir.
I got 5 test models painted. I think I posted that for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not setting those bases yet.
Yeah, I think you're missing something there still.
Yeah, I was at the Source a week or so ago.
Okay.
And something from Green Stuff World. They have these rollers that you can use basically for green stuff, but I imagine it'll work for any 2-part epoxy, or I have Sculpey that I'll probably be using it for. And it has a brick pattern. So I can just roll out a brick pattern, and it's also got some gaskets you can put on the end so you can actually have the depth set.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to be trying that out, and I'll probably be getting back to the Sculpey and making some bases, and I might try to do some bricks, and and also be doing a lot with the Stalingrad table I'm working on with all the trains I have printed up. I wasn't. So, I think I mentioned last episode, I'm doing kind of what I'm calling a negative terrain table, where I have the 1-inch foam and I'm cutting down into it. Mm-hmm. But I wanted the train to be set down for 2 reasons. The first reason is I have a factory on the board, and the picture I saw kind of had the tracks set down, so I figured, well, shit, that's probably a really easy way to roll tanks on, is to have
probably
basically that bed sitting there at the concrete level. So, aside from trying to cut a bunch of foam to the right height for 3 different tracks, I realized that I still have my work computer and all my design software at home. So I just designed up and printed off some STLs for the 3 tracks that I'll be running. So those are all printed off. Cool. That was about 2 weeks of printing straight.
Yeah.
And so roughly right now, almost I would say a sixth of the table is just printed, 3D printed, just for the base table itself.
Nice.
So, and I've got all those trains are sitting there. I put together 4 buildings, and I have a Sarissa factory, I think they call it. And then I realized last week that they have basically an addition onto that. And as I kind of started laying it out on the table, I'm like, I need a little more, so I had to order that. So that should be here in a couple weeks. What else have I done? I think that's... Oh, so I was looking at Stalingrad lists. So I was looking at the Stalingrad campaign book. And there's the 2 selectors. I think, Dale, you were looking at those 2 with the not one step back.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other one? Not one step back and no land beyond Volga. Both of those have artillery selections for 0-1 in there. However, in the special rules, they have what's called off-map battery, which says you can't take any artillery units.
Nope.
So I kicked that one up the line, and yesterday or so, I got an answer back from Alessio himself, who said, yeah, we're going to add that to the FAQ, that the special rules take precedence. So expect that coming in an FAQ at some point.
Cool.
So, which special rule? Well, that just confirms that you can't take artillery.
Yeah,
right.
you can't take artillery.
In the selector, they say 0-1 guns, and they list all the guns that you can take, like a normal selector.
Right.
But then the rules, say you can't take artillery.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right. But I think one of those selectors lets you your artillery bombardments. You get a little bonus with that. So.
Yeah, you get to call in a second artillery strike after the first one resolves.
Yep, which I kind of like. I kind of like the idea because, if I'm not mistaken, the Soviets actually have a bonus for their artillery rolls. So
yes, they do. They get to roll 2d6 when determining the 9 inches plus 1d6, and they can pick which one. So,
yep.
So boom boom goes boom boom.
Yeah. But is that worth 100 points?
Yeah.
Well, if you can call it in an extra time, and you get the extra dice for it makes it more worthwhile than if you can't call in and you don't get the additional roll. So
It ain't. It's not an air observer for the U.S. Army though, because those guys are awesome.
Well,
I'm sorry, that's very dry sarcasm.
Okay. You need to hit your sarcasm.
Yeah. Sorry.
You got a sarcasm horn or something?
Little more tone would help, I think.
No, I mean, approach to it was in order to play a chosen army effectively, to try taking the maximum that you can get with your army special rules, to play those to the max, maximize your advantages. Mm-hmm. And that particular army selector allowed you to kind of take additional benefit from one of the Soviet Army's special rules. That was my approach to it. So.
No, that's cool.
Was there still Panzerfaust in Stalingrad? I don't remember off the top of my head.
No, I think so.
There should.
Or was that too early? Was that
there shouldn't be.
There shouldn't be.
Okay, I thought that was 42.
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, one of the complaints about the Stalingrad list is that Panzerfaust didn't exist then, and they're not available to the Germans, but they are in the Stalingrad for the Russians.
Yeah, we saw a few.
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
But no, the Panzerfaust doesn't exist for the majority of what the Stalingrad time period is.
So you shouldn't be bringing them. There you go.
So it really limits your anti-tank capability without having artillery in there.
That's
I guess you got mortars and stuff, but
it's just one dice.
You can bring in their artillery barrage a couple times.
Right? That'll do.
On a proper Stalingrad board, I wouldn't want to bring a tank anyway.
Right? Yeah, right. Especially if you got like the crazy rubble rules.
Right?
Yeah, you don't really want to try to tank on any of that shit.
Oh, speaking of rubble, I did also get those the rubble packets that you recommended, Dale, from was it Frontline?
So there's two Frontline games. There's Frontline Gaming, and this is Frontline Games. It's a different company, but their rubble packs are brilliant. I like them.
I picked up 3 of them. So
I think I used like 8 of them on my first Stalingrad board. So.
Well, then I'm going to be picking up a few more, I guess.
Yeah. Somebody fire a link to that. I'd be interested in that now.
And I also picked up a bunch of individual bricks as well from things from the basement. You can buy 1 brick for 1 penny. So I think that's what it was.
Dear God, that's so expensive.
So I got like $10 worth of bricks.
Yeah, that seems really for what they are, because they're tiny little pieces of just like, what are they? What are they actually made of?
I'm also going to be
MDF, okay.
Yeah, I'm also going to be making some from Sculpey too. So
yeah.
There you go. And saving yourself some time.
It's really effective because it allows you to mix them up with your rubble, and then you've got little pieces of color that you can pick out with your airbrush super easily with like a red and an orange, and then it really helps your board kind of break up all of the gray, brown, broken down buildings and stuff like that. So
nice.
You're going to have to send a link, Dale. There's like a bajillion Frontline games. They're like...
I got it.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, if I recall, they were like, what?
$7.
$7 a packet? Yeah. And it's a small little, I think it's a small little mom and pop shop. And it was actually John Russell.
Oh, yeah.
John Russell that turned me onto those originally. He had a big bin of stuff from their company that he takes to all of the tournaments that he goes and supports for Warlord Games.
Yeah.
And I kind of rummaged around through that, and I saw that because we were talking about what we're doing next year, and I wanted to do the board, and it was brilliant. And I've actually picked up a ton of stuff from this store. Definitely would recommend that one. So frontlinegames.com. So
yeah, I was going to say I actually bought some stone slab stuff at that same time. I remember that giant bin of stuff. Sweet. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, there's our hobby stuff. We'll have more. Maybe we'll talk about hobby again in a little bit here. All right. So now, because it's our new year, let's talk about our goals for the year, since we fail miserably every year.
Well, hey, we were sabotaged last year.
Yeah, to be fair, that really did kind of kick our butt when you're like, I have no ambition to do anything, because what am I going to do? Not fly to Ireland?
We started real quick. I mean, we were going pretty hard in the beginning of the year. So.
We were actually going pretty. We were going pretty. I don't know if we were going to be able to sustain that through the year, but at least we would have gotten through March, whenever we were
had
supposed to.
Three big tournaments lined up.
Yeah.
Wow. most of us did. I don't think you were able to score the 3 altogether.
No, I think two was probably my limit that year. But it is what it is. Like, I'll take whatever I can get. Okay, so let's go through this. Like, do any of you guys have goals yet? Goals and objectives?
I do.
Oh, Pat does. Pat, start us out.
All right, so one thing that I have been horrible at is keeping track of what colors I'm using to paint what models. I would sometimes jot down on a Post-it note, and, Post-it note wanders away. So I have actually got an actual journal, a book.
Nice.
And for the first 5 test models of the Soviets I did, I wrote down exactly the colors, the company, and, any mixing that I did, and even the order that I did them in.
Nice. So
I can come back to it. And that's my goal for this year, is to try and write down all the different colors. I think that's something I'm going to try. And a super stretch goal for this year is to put together the Germans I got like 2 Christmas sales ago. They're still sitting on my shelf. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I got.
No, there's something to be said about keeping track of that, though. A big thing about getting better at something is consistency, right? So, like, being able to do the same thing the same way 100 times is better than you guessing every time you come to the table and be like, I think this is how I did it. So at least, like, having a record of that is really important. I'm miserable at that too, Pat. And there are times where I wish I had, like, been like, shit, which color was that? Like, because I have like 6 grays sitting at my paint station. And like, which one was it? Like, right. I just have to guess.
Was it light gray or neutral gray or this one that's in between them?
Right, exactly. So
was it German camel medium brown, or is it brown medium German camel?
Well, and there's definitely some of that too, where you're like, yeah, it's the 50 Shades of Army Green. Which one did I use?
Yeah, make a point of writing down the company and the number.
Yep.
Not so much the description of it.
No, right.
I gotta remember to go back and write down what I did for the Marines too.
Okay.
That was all what's those cheater paints?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the contrast paints.
Yeah,
so,
that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, no, it's all good. That also helps you because, like, I have all my Marines painted, but if I want to go back and add Marines, I'm going to be totally boned. Like, I'm not going to remember how I painted them at all. Actually, I
You'll
kind
be
of
able to know which ones are the replacements then.
Well,
the new guys on the line.
It actually gets more. It gets a little bit more complicated because I actually made my own contrast paint for that army. Oh. So I have a dropper of paint that is the color of their green. So what I should have done when I made that green is that I should have written down the formula, like, it's this much of this, it's this much of this, it's this much, like, like it's these 3 colors mixed together, plus some other, like, some kind of medium, and I didn't do that. So it's like, if whatever left of the bottle is gone, I'm hosed. So that's what it is. I guess I'll just not do any more Marines. Maybe I'll just paint some Rangers or something.
Is that your goal for the year, to not paint more Marines?
I think I might have to still paint a few just to make sure that I get some done. I got a couple artillery guys that I should probably finish up. But other than that, I'm pretty close. I think I have to finish the rocket launchers that I never finished. And some Stuarts. Not that I'm likely to bring that same list to WTC, but anyway, so my hobby, yeah, I would like to get the Romanians done this year. That's my main goal. I think if I get that far, I will at least have 2 army lists, basically, out of that one army, because I'll be able to play them with on the Axis or the Ally side, depending on which, if I do the free Romanians or still siding with the Germans. So I got lists for both of them. It means I'm painting a bunch of extra dudes, but I'd rather just paint them all now, and I can at least be, it's a very flexible list then between, being able to do what I want with it.
Then you can throw the paint formula away if you get them all painted.
Yeah, I think, well, it's weird. They're all in winter gear, so I'm going to paint a lot of them like Germans in some regard. They're all either wearing, I don't know if the Romanians had reversible coats, but they were often outfitted by Germans anyway, so they could very easily be wearing German coats. So who knows? what I'm going to do there yet, but otherwise I am going to go back through. That was my next step here is I'm going to give a bunch of them fur collars because that was pretty common for Romanians to have because their coats were fur lined apparently. So I'm going to go back and give them some some of them fur coats or fur like collars, not whole coats. That'd be insane. Let's go fight with fur coats on.
Wow.
And if I can get that done, I will hit the Brits. I got a pile of 8th Army stuff sitting in my closet that needs to get done. Something needs to get done with it. But really, my biggest goal for the year is to get my basement done, so I have a hobby space again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's first. Jeff, how about you? What do you got? Got anything?
Don't say 3D print stuff.
Well, shit. That was actually going to be exactly what I was going to say.
Goal achieved.
Well, done. Check.
Already achieved
actually,
my goal.
I was thinking we had a buy with FDM printing for vehicles and stuff. You deal with it. You can look past the layer lines. Whatever. It's a model. And then you get one of those resin ones, and you're just like, damn it.
Yep.
It's funny. I can't look.
Looks so much nicer.
Yeah, I can't look past the lines, especially when you know a resin printer exists.
Yep.
You're like, shit.
Yep.
So much nicer.
Yeah. And, originally, my original goal with the 3D printer was to print terrain and, buy vehicles from companies that make them. But there are still gaps in product lines no matter where you look for vehicles. So having the ability to print some to, fill those gaps would be really nice.
Yep.
So. But yeah, I don't really need any more. I'm sure I'll buy an army at some point this year, but I don't really need more armies. I've got like too damn many as it is. So.
Hey, do you want a British army? I have a British army sitting in my.
The Brits are like the one country. Actually, that's not true at all. I don't have a British list. I don't have a Russian list. I'll fill one of those gaps this year. I need one of those armies.
There you go.
Do a Maori. Do a Maori list.
No, that's my British list.
Oh.
I was going to do Maori. Jeff can do it. He'll do it first anyway, for crying out loud.
Well,
I'm not going to get to it.
not to speed
You might have it
right
done
now.
by the time we finish the podcast.
It's already
It
done.
takes too long to get it shipped to me. That's the problem.
Yeah, right. Fair. Well, if he comes over here, he can get it.
Maybe I'll do something really obscure like Japanese Airborne.
There you go.
I don't know that I've ever seen one of those.
No, it's a toss up between doing Maori or doing a Gurkha paratrooper army. But I don't think anyone really wants to see a Gurkha paratrooper army. I'm just saying.
People say that, but anyone that plays Brits usually has Gurkhas in their list.
Yeah, but the Gurkha paratroopers are just their own special flavor of gross. Yeah.
Well, one of the ways to get things changed is to
exploit the shit out of it until they fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Usually devs don't give a damn about something exploiting the game until everybody starts doing it.
Right.
Suddenly they're like, oh wait, maybe we actually better fix this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably gonna nerf the deck of Stewart a little bit more too.
No, don't do that.
No, because Rick has that one.
Wait, I like that one. Don't break that one.
M3 machine gun Stewards. Oh, that's right. The Soviets, they can take those too.
I-
In fact, actually, they're the ones who did it.
All right, so, as a software developer, I understand the whole, and a gamer, I understand the whole, relationship between. That's going to teach the game designers.
No, that's not my goal ever.
Do the list because it's what you want to do,
Right.
And then it's going to be a lot easier to play. You're not going to feel bad as you curb stomp everyone that you play. You can go, well, I'm really about the history.
To be fair,
You could be the guy that names every one of his little models and say, "This is Doug Smith." And
No,
he actually did
I'm not
this.
that guy either.
He fought.
I'm not that power gamer, Dale. I agree. That's why I picked the Maori. I also was like, I wanted an interesting army to look at. So what I was looking at was 8th Army models, but it's hard to find heads that match, especially Gurkhas for that matter. Mm-hmm. But there are very few pictures that I've been able to find of the Gurkha paratroopers. The one that I was able to find, they look like they're outfitted in the desert rat uniforms. Like they jumped in basically shorts. So, I was like, oh, shit, you could do a Gurkha army with these. You just have to find Gurkha heads and replace them and then get you should be able to do it. But I still have yet to find Gurkha heads that work.
Okay.
But that's why I was like, oh, I'll do Maori instead because that's still pretty badass. And those guys are scary as hell. So,
They're good.
Maori is Maori, right? That's how we're supposed to say it. That's the correct one.
I think it's Maori.
Maori. I think it's Maori as well.
I know it's not Maori.
Yeah, I think I just said it that way 14 times. So sorry, guys.
Well, meet the new year, same as the last.
Yeah, that's definitely not one of my hobby goals, is to pronounce things correctly, because that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I try.
Your own limitations, right?
I try. Yep. All right. So another aspect of this, Pat, I love
Dale.
this. Oh, Dale. I'm sorry, Dale. Yeah, you have to give us your hobby
No,
goal.
I have too much happening right now. I guess a stretch goal would be, you know what? A real, actual hobby goal this year for me is to attend a tournament and play games again with people.
I love that goal.
That's a perfectly good goal. I would love that goal too.
It turns out that without that, and even with Tabletop Simulator, and we were fortunate enough to kind of get on board that early on and try that out, and we even kind of got plugged into Warlord a little bit with playing a game or two. I really need to actually play games with my friends, and the folks in the community to kind of keep me going, to keep me interested in stuff like that. I want to be able to do that again.
That's a solid goal.
I like that goal a lot.
I'll copy that goal. That is a goal
Yep.
that we should all have, quite honestly. There we go. Okay. All right. So, Dale, that was yours. So now we can move along to the thing that Pat put together. I love this thing, actually. So, Pat, you put together a hobby checklist.
Yep.
How are we going to do this? Are we doing this, or are our listeners doing this, or are we all doing this?
Everyone that wants. So here's the thing. I don't know if you know much about the Myers-Briggs personality. Like the 4 letters, and the last 2, you're either a perceiver or a judger. And the main thing about a judger is they need to have checklists for stuff, just so they can make a list and check stuff off.
Wait, are you telling me you're a judger? The shocked.
I have been since I've gotten married. I didn't start out that way.
Wait, are you saying you changed your Myers-Briggs changed from when you got married?
Yeah, a little bit.
Did you
done this.
Just out of curiosity, because I'm very familiar with the Myers-Briggs, did you take the test before you got married?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have results from before.
I'm absolutely a perceiver. I like to see all the options and weigh them. And my wife will make a checklist. Will make a list for the sake of making a list.
Okay.
And one of the things in there will be to make a list.
Sure.
So,
yeah, first one on the list. Make a list. Check. Got it.
Yep.
All right.
Yes, and it's that little check mark thing that I've actually started. You know what? Actually, that's kind of cool. But
so that's
why it's a list and not like a bingo card or anything like that.
That's cool.
I know people have done that in the past, but
no, I get it. So she really likes My Name Is Earl.
I think she would watch that show. I didn't really care for it much.
No, that's a bad reference, but he had a list. He had a list of all the people he wronged and had to go fix it. That was the whole show. There you go.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert. Okay. All right. So this is quite a list. He did.
All shows get canceled eventually.
I mean,
that took a weird turn. That show. I was like, "What the?"
I can't remember how it ended, but because didn't Crabman was
spoilers, Jesus.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry. Oh my God, it's like 20 years old.
That storyline, I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Because Crabman gets kind of screwed, and Earl screws himself because he ends up going to jail for just a really stupid reason. So, anyways,
there you go. Anyway, so in case you haven't seen it, Randy, his brother, dude, that guy dropped like 200 pounds.
He's like super swole now.
Yeah, he's built like a brick house now. He's amazing. Great. Whatever he did, it worked. Because he looks like he's like a different man. Like I didn't even recognize him. Anyway, okay, so we have a list, and the first on the list is to get in shape after COVID ends. No,
Rick added that. That's a late entry.
I mean, I need to, dude. My dad bod is in prime shape right now. I've been eating too much beef jerky. Anyway, no. So these are all good. I don't know if I'm going to get all of these done though. Enter a bronze level tournament. We have to have a bronze level event first. Imagine we're going to probably post this on our Discord, probably our Facebook.
Yep.
Whatever other sites we can probably think of putting it on. I'm sure we'll try and do it. Anyway, So there's a bunch of cool stuff in here. Paint a non-bolt action model. Pat, what are you doing to us? I get it.
That'll help Dale out.
I'll get that one checked.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
What about,
smaller
the one
than
putting
3
it at,
inches.
like paint a model that has nothing to do with the game.
Did you have that in here somewhere? All right, so here we go. Here we go. We'll just go through the list. Paint an LMG model with a designated loader.
Yep.
Everyone should do that at some point. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Paint a
I like
10-man rifle squad. Can I paint a 10 pistol man squad?
Sure.
Does it say
Okay.
rifle? You can do that too.
But yeah, fine, all right. I'll have to paint some rifles. I guess I got Romanians to paint anyway, so okay, good.
Right, you got 80 of them, so you can probably get 10 of them with just rifles.
There's at least 10 of them with rifles in the Romanian list. Paint a non-bolt action model for 3 inches, smaller than 3 inches.
Whoa, what?
Well, we'll get to the paint one that's larger than 3 inches. So that's there
Paint
you
a
go.
big model. Paint a big model. Paint the little one. Non-bolt action.
Non-bolt action. That's the important thing. So it doesn't have to play to a game, but it definitely can't be bolt action. Could it be World War II related still? I imagine so.
I don't know. I got crazy and printed off a Delta Flyer. I might paint that.
Ooh, that's
as
cool.
Larger.
Yeah,
There you go.
different things. You can do.
Wait, what if it's a non-bolt action model, but I'm using it in bolt action?
Can I use my Delta Flyer in bolt action?
It's
Well,
cheating. It's
I
cheating.
bought an Italian transport plane for my
Cheating.
paratroops, so I can just sit on the back of the board like it's flying and dropping them off. So.
Oh, well, I'm not the judge of this. Whatever.
Yeah, it's you be your own judge.
Yeah. You decide whether or not you feel like
That's perfect
cheating.
because I'm one of those J people, so I can judge myself.
There you go.
All right, paint a weapons team. That's also should be relatively easy for most armies. Paint an artillery piece of your primary faction. Okay, so now we're getting into the if you have more than one faction type stuff.
I would safely say that British is my primary faction.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or I suppose you could also say of the faction that you possess the most models of.
That's I couldn't even tell you, which is probably Germans, I guess.
Wow, I wouldn't even know.
I'm not even sure.
All right, I guess Neville Warfare comes. All right, well there we go.
I'm not painting orcs this year, so that's a no-go.
Okay, there you go. Paint an artillery piece for your non-primary faction. So any other faction. Print an AFV. What's an AFV?
Armored fighting vehicle? Jesus, how are you on a bolt action podcast?
I don't know. I don't know how I got here. How did I get here?
You said, hey guys, do you want to do a podcast?
Oh, that's right. I knew the other stuff. I didn't know anything about bolt action. Got it. Okay. Paint an AFV for your primary, non-primary. Got it. Create your own objective markers. I like that one.
Ooh, I like that one, yeah.
Yeah. Create a terrain piece for your own bolt action game. I love that. Create a display board for one of your armies. That's also an awesome idea. Enter in a bronze level event or a silver event, or enter silver event as its own line. Let's hope that happens.
Yes.
Cross our fingers. I just say, didn't a tournament just fire down in Oklahoma somewhere? I saw a tournament somewhere, and I was still kind of a little taken back by it. But
Yeah.
In Augusta, Georgia, there was an event.
there you go. That was in
If
Georgia.
I'm not mistaken. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I was still like, that's maybe a little premature, but I don't know. I don't know what their numbers look like. So
If people feel comfortable going, that's
and more
that's
power
their
to
choice.
them. Yeah, more power to them if they feel like it.
I mean, in different parts of the country, just like in different parts of the world, there's going to be different concerns.
Yep.
So
Well, and then definitely numbers dictate how they treat
we love for
stuff.
everyone to be responsible to your region. So
Yep.
whatever is working for you, make sure you're doing your best.
Yep, exactly. There's our COVID PSA for the episode.
Play by the rules, bolt action, and and
Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you have to follow some rules you may not like, but that's just the way it goes. Research and write a background for one of your forces. That's not going to happen for me. I'm sorry.
I usually.
I'm
do
a
that
horrible-
for Bug
I'm a
Eater,
horrible writer.
honestly.
Well, I don't know. You were looking for pictures for Gurkha paratroopers, and there's a little bit of research there.
Yeah, no, I've definitely done
The research
research.
you
I
can
just
do is
don't
the writing
writing the
part that doesn't
background.
write.
Yeah, I'm just not a.
Well, it's not high school. You can copy and paste from Wikipedia, and I'm not going to
Okay, all right. If I put a Wikipedia page inside of a
Yeah,
like
you can also
table
get
10.
like even the Warlord PDFs have some nice good background. You can just copy. And
Oh,
paste
I can definitely make them look good. It's not about making them look good. It's about writing them that I'm kind of not as excited about. But we'll get there. If I ever enter a silver level event, I'll make sure to have some history there. Paint a special character of any game system. That's pretty cool. I like that.
I'm happy that it's any game system. So.
Right. I did see some brand new cool vampire models that just showed up.
Yeah, that means there's a chance.
Yeah. Paint a model you've had for 3+ years. Well, that's every model I own.
You saying you haven't bought a model in the last 3 years?
Not very many. No. Well, the funny thing is the Brits that I just. So I bought what I thought was going to be new in wrap, British starter army, and it turns out the dude had already chopped all the shit off the sprues and glued half of them together, but that's not what he told me it was. So he had to do some back and forth on that, and now I ended up with these guys, and now I'm like, I don't want them. Can I send them back to you? And he never responded. So now I have these models. So if you are listening out there and you know who I am and you know what that's about, send me your address so I can send them back to you because I don't want them. Anyway, there you go. There's my PSA for the day. So play a new scenario.
You forgot the one right after that. Paint a model within 2 weeks of getting it.
Shit, that's never going to happen. For me, anyway. You guys all do it all the time, Pat. Jeff, you probably painted a whole army the day you get it.
It depends if I'm how excited I am.
Yeah. And,
Jeff is good about finishing the projects. I buy stuff for a project that I might get to in 18 months. So.
Yeah, I back you everything pretty hard.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I might have to still try and achieve that one. Play a new scenario. Or no, start a new army and play at least 3 games with it. Well, crap.
Oh, fuck.
Hey,
Yeah.
I got Soviets.
Yeah, you wrote all these because you could checkbox all of them, right?
Maybe.
This is actually just Pat's checklist. Okay,
This is
shit.
my list. I'm just sharing it with you guys.
Oh, man. No, I don't have... I'm not making my own. Note the writing your background. I'm not writing a list either. Paint a non-bolt action squad. Okay. That one's for Dale. What other game are you picking up, Pat, that you need to have all these non-bolt action things in here?
I want to try and finish up my Legion.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's a good call. Paint a bolt action special character. I think I'd have to have one first. I might actually have a couple.
Do you want one? I have 6 or 7. Or
Yeah,
8.
right?
I think I'm with the books.
I think I've
Yeah,
got
that's a
a
good point,
named
actually.
sniper somewhere.
I think I have the Soviet sniper, but I don't really have a purpose in painting that one.
Who's the D-Day Beachmaster with the little dog? I've got 2 of him, I think.
Oh, the British guy.
Yeah.
The British guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't somebody have that medic that came with the German book, the new German book? The Winter Medic? It's like dragging.
Oh, he's dragging a dude behind him. I did not get that model.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I get a bunch of special.
Well, whenever I get to that bridge, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
Cool.
whenever I order from somewhere, the VIP, and they send me the bonus models, which is cool.
Nice.
So,
Paint a bolt action. Oh, that was the same one. Paint a model for a game system you've never played.
What? Oh, hey, I could do one of my War Machine models.
there you go.
No, it says never played, not
Yeah,
never
I-
play. You may want to play. No, you'll never play War Machine. What am I talking about?
I bought a bunch of that stuff because I couldn't find a gaming community when I lived in Milwaukee, and then I moved back, so I didn't need to play War Machine. I bought the model so I could play, and then I never played it.
Yeah, that game was something.
It's a dumb game.
I didn't hate. It's not to tangent our way off of that, but I didn't hate a lot of things about War Machine. But what I hated about War Machine was that there were so many weird rules that you didn't know, or you didn't know your opponent's army. You were totally hosed.
Yep.
There were so many minuscule little rules and feat turns and
It's like playing a game where here's the base rules, but actually everybody's scaven in their own fashion.
right.
So.
And 100% exactly right. And it's like,
Well, yeah. When the rule book is 6 pages long, but then the special character rules are the same number of pages long.
well, and then you get into threat ranges, and you're like, what's the threat range? And you're like, well, it's 9 inches, except for when I do this, and then it's 13, and then it just keeps going.
Oh,
and
but if I lean him on this side of the base, then it goes up to 14.
right, yeah. But if I'm in range of this other model, oh my god, how am I supposed to keep this shit straight? Yeah, it's almost as complicated as Infinity was, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Maybe more so because it was, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Both of those games were very hard on my brain.
Yep.
Anyway.
Good tangent. Okay.
Yeah, back to
we'll post that, and feel free to add your own for your suggestion in there. But that's what my list is, and some of that was taken from the Juggernauts bingo last year. So
cool.
it's not all 100% my own ideas, but there's stuff actually I think I did last year off their bingo card.
Close enough.
All right, so who's gonna check off more of these boxes?
I'll
the four of us.
Pat or Jeff, one of the two. Not me.
Break your own. I don't know. It's just
No, I like
it's
your
an attempt
checklist.
to help motivate your hobby because we quite frankly need it right now.
All right, well here let's do it like this. What are there, like 20 items here? 18?
Count. I can write. I can't count.
Math's hard. Let's go shopping.
Right.
Indeed.
I don't know. I don't have
24.
enough anymore. 24. It's 24.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
24.
So
So
one short of a bingo board.
when it comes to Pat, of these 24, how many check marks do we think he is likely to achieve before the end of the year? So think of a number. And we'll do this for everyone, and then we'll call it a success if you manage to exceed
The average.
what the average is.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Are we
So
doing that right now?
yeah, let's do it right now. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just let's not put a ton of dead air in here, but okay, I've got a number for
for Pat.
Pat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So out of 24.
Considering that we're kind of stuck in our homes, probably don't forget that we're probably in our homes for a little while yet, which
Yeah.
might give a higher opportunity to complete some of this.
Sure.
Okay, I've got a number for Pat.
I do too.
Oh, think of a number for everyone, because then we can just rattle it off. Pat, Jeff next.
Okay. I got
I didn't know I was going to need paper for this game.
Pat and Jeff are going to be
You
pretty
have
similar.
a computer in front of your screen.
Actually, I think Pat and Jeff are going to be the same.
I think they're pretty close, but I think I am not going to say they're the same.
And Rick and I think are probably pretty much the same. I'm going to put us at like a third.
Do we have to write our own? Do we have to come up with our own number, or is everyone?
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It's 24. All right. So this is Pat. This is Jeff.
By the end of the year, so there's a lot of time.
Dale.
There is.
And I'm gonna
be optimistic with you two.
Oof, that's not. Don't no. I want to
I mean,
succeed.
some of these are. Create a display board, start a new army, and play 3 games with it. I mean, that's just tough. Enter a tournament.
Yeah. All right.
So some of these are pretty tough. So don't forget about those more difficult ones.
What was the total number in? I've got a percentage in my
24.
There's
24.
24.
Okay.
All right. So let's start with Pat. Pat. Everyone rattle off their numbers for Pat.
For Pat, I've got 15.
I got 17.
18.
I said 20.
Oof. All right. So that's going to put it. I'm going to say that's averages out to 18. I don't know.
Yep, rounding up.
Rounding up. Okay.
Yep.
So Jeff.
Okay.
I have 19 for
I
Jeff.
I got 20 for Jeff.
Go ahead, Jeff. What do you got for yourself?
19.
I said 15 for Jeff as well.
Okay.
Jesus, you guys are really aiming high.
I'm going to give him. I'd say he's also an 18 then. I don't know that it's probably somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to actually do the averages, but that's like modal almost. All right, Dale. Dale, for numbers for Dale. I'm not going first
10.
on this one.
I say 7.
I said 6.
I said 12. I was optimistic for you, Dale.
That was super optimistic. Half of this list? I don't think so.
Fair. Okay. Okay.
So the average is what? 9 there, probably?
9. I'll give you a 9.
It's
about
6,
9, yeah.
6, 7, 10, and 12. Yeah.
Okay.
9.
All right. And then for me, I said 10.
I also
That's-
gave you 10.
Oh my god.
I said 8.
I said 6, same as me.
All right, I'm gonna just put myself at a 9 as well. So
Okay.
we got Jeff and Pat at 18, and then Dale and myself at 9. That's what I'm just.
If I do one of these things a month, I'll exceed. Okay.
Yep.
There we go. All right, that was fun. You guys can play along at home. We'll score we'll give you a score if you post in our Discord, which we'll talk about next.
That's a great segue.
Yeah, right.
We'll update in our Discord how's this going.
Yeah, we will post in the hobby section on our Discord. So that will, like Pat just said, that's a good segue. We actually just recently, this is something that I've been working on in the background. I think it probably didn't work on it that long, but we opened up our Discord. So you can find a link on our Facebook page.
It expires from time to time.
Oh, does it? I swear I said it to. I think the one that you posted a new link, and I think what happened was I deleted the general chat that the invite was assigned to. I don't think it was expired. Anyway, so you can come join us on Discord. We have, people chat regularly. That's a good place to reach out to us if you're looking for rules stuff. It's probably a little bit better than doing it through Facebook, because Facebook is kind of a pain to do messaging through. So
yeah, and I got a new phone, and I don't get messaged. I don't get notifications on Facebook.
Oh, really? On the
what my password was, 8 years ago or whatever.
Good luck, dude. And half the world got logged out of Facebook on Friday, and I think they all forgot their password. So, go figure, because who logs into that thing anyway?
Yeah, Discord I have open most of the day.
So we still have sections dedicated to Patreon supporters. There's a private area where we chat, but then there's a bunch of open areas now. We, regularly people are posting hobby stuff, which I think is awesome. I encourage people to keep doing that. I think it's super awesome. Nobody's really posted any lists yet. We actually reached out for Partisan lists for this episode, and nobody actually posted any because apparently nobody plays Partisans.
We haven't told them how to yet.
Oh, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So the rules, and then we have rules in there, which is great. It's a great place to have a discussion around a rule, whatever that is. And then just general discussion. You can just come and chat with us anytime you want. I think one of the things we were doing before, and I think this is a question mark on our list, is that we might still try and do hobby time on there, maybe once a month or so. I don't know. We'll still figure that out. The tricky part about that is, people are all over the world, so timing is a little bit tricky.
Right.
Unfortunately, we would love to have everyone join us, but sometimes it's a little bit difficult.
This is also something that I thought maybe might help you guys as well to,
for sure,
hobby. If we can jump on Discord, we'll say, hey, first Friday of the month, 9 to 11 o'clock, let's just sit in the hobby channel and do some painting or whatever.
Yeah. I would love to do that. I'm closer to that being a reality because I'm in a different room now where my paint station is, so it's actually possible. Before it wasn't so possible. So we will post something when that actually occurs. I think we've done that before.
We'll post it in Discord.
Right. So you have to be in our Discord to figure it out anyway.
Right. Yeah.
If you're not familiar with Discord, it's like a forum. It's pretty common across a lot of gaming platforms. You can do voice chat, you can do text chat, you can do video live stream if you want to. You can record podcasts on it if you really know what you're doing. It's not very good. I wouldn't recommend that, but yeah, it's a cool tool. Lots of people use it. Other bolt action podcasts have them too. If you're so inclined, which is nice because you can just hop around all your different channels and do stuff. So, hop on there is a great place for us to get to chat. It's a lot more, I would say it's a lot more real time than I would say Facebook is sometimes. Sometimes we miss a message or something on Facebook and it gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, it's gone forever.
Plus, you don't know who you're talking to on Facebook. That's our other big beef. Is we all have access to the back end of SNAFU, but when Jesus, sorry. We all have access to the administration page of the SNAFU podcast Facebook page. So there's a better when I say it that way, so that it doesn't. Anyway, so when we respond to you, we all look like the same person, so it's really hard to know who you're chatting with. We're
just a big four-headed glob monster.
Yeah, we kind of are in there, and it's like we can all be responding at the same time and having a conversation. And it looks like we're all just one person. So it's nicer to do it here because, and I think you'll get. I don't know. I've only gone on one serious rant in public that I didn't mean to be in public. I deleted half of it, but anyone that was there when it happened saw it about stuff. Anyway, I thought I was in a private area. I was not. Sorry for anybody that was offended. It wasn't political in nature. Just FYI. Anyway, all right. So that's Discord. Good luck. I don't know. We'll post another link to it again because I don't know how that works. If it is easy to find again on our Facebook page. Anyway, so let's talk about some rules stuff then, because this comes up regularly now. We get regular rules questions, which is
awesome.
Awesome. I agree. I love that people
always willing to answer. And if you ask someone a question and they just tell you an answer and they can't question it a little bit,
just call bullshit. I'm sorry. It's like, oh, that's totally how it is. No, well, show me why. Like,
well, that's the way I always play it.
right.
That doesn't mean it's correct.
Right. Well, and especially if you're a newer player and you're like, I want to learn you want to learn the rules. Don't just verbatim take what someone else tells you, but ask them to show you where it is, because then at least you know where it is, and you can find it. Especially in this book, because there isn't a good way of like searching through it like that. It's definitely beneficial for them to point it out to you, and you shouldn't feel like an asshole doing that. I'm not going to lie.
And this rule book has its own flaws in that there are a lot of rules in different places that unless you're like me who reads the rule book for fun and enjoyment, you're not going to remember where all these things are all the time.
Right, and especially when they're in like weird, like, oh, this rule's in a gray box on the side that you never would have thought was a rule.
Right, because I just thought that was historical stuff. I want the game.
Right, you're like, I'm reading rules, and then you're like, you didn't realize the little thing to the side was actually a rule too. But so, yeah, don't feel bad asking someone to do that if that's the case. And it definitely, yeah, I will say almost every circumstance I see, usually common sense wins out. If it doesn't sound right and it doesn't sit right in your gut, it's probably not right.
Yep.
So, okay, so let's talk about some rules. So we got firing weapons on transports.
Yep. So there's this version that now, if you have a unit on board the transport, they can fire the second weapon. Whereas if there's nothing on transport, the transport can only fire one of its weapon systems.
Yep.
And Facebook question that had come up a while back was, okay, so what happens if I have my inexperienced squad on a regular vehicle, and they're firing one of the weapons? What are they firing at? Well, you designate which squad that's on the transport, which weapon they're on, and they fire at their own experience level.
Right.
Yep.
So.
Oh, I always thought all of them fired at the lowest level, but that's.
I thought that too, and
okay.
then I read it, and it's page 114, paragraph 5. It covers that specifically.
Okay.
I've got a good example here for you.
Okay.
So, say you've got an M3 Scout car. It's regular, that has a front HMG. And then you've bought the MMGs for the left rear and the right rear. So that's 2 extra weapons.
Yep.
So now if there's no one on board, it can only fire one of those 3 weapons, but you can choose which one it's firing.
Right. The guy just runs around to whichever gun he wants to use. Yep.
The driver keeps going, so they keep enough gas. Yeah.
Yep.
So say you have on board one, let's go a regular first lieutenant.
Yep.
No buddies. And then you've also got, we'll say a veteran, let's make him a flamethrower. Okay, so say they're on board. Say in the previous round they took stun results, so everyone's on 2 pins, right?
Okay.
So early in the round, here's a sneaky thing to think about. Your first lieutenant probably isn't getting off that transport, realistically.
Yeah, probably not.
Keep him on there because he's going to fire an extra weapon. So you go ahead and rally him to remove both his pins. Okay.
Okay.
Now the scout car action takes its action, passes its order test. It now has 1 pins, but the veterans still have 2 pins. So now the scout car is firing its HMG at the -1 for the 1 pin it has. Mm-hmm. Lieutenant can grab one of the MMGs, and he's cleared both his pins, so he doesn't have any. So that's a nice little sneaky thing there. And then you still got the veteran team in there who's still firing at -2 for their pins.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's...
Well, because so let's just clarify this further, because I feel like I'm getting more confused by this now. When this happens, when the scout car shoots,
Yep.
It is the scout car's order dice. It does not, like, the units inside it do not use their order dice to shoot.
Correct.
Just making sure that people understand that, because that's an important clarification there.
And that's
it seems obvious, but...
The unit you're not planning on taking off, use them to rally before you fire, so at least that weapon isn't firing with the pins.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something maybe people don't necessarily think.
Right, because the reality is that then... So the flamethrower could shoot the gun and then use their order dice later to step off the ship, step off the boat. Oh, Jesus, it's not a boat. Truck, whatever the heck it is. Cars, air, or what is it, planes, trains, and automobiles, whatever it is, whatever thing it's on. And they can then use their weapon. Not that I recommend shooting a flamethrower with 2 pins on it, but...
well, no, they'd pass an order test.
Oh, they would have 1, so it's possible that they would still be okay. I would still fail and roll a 1 on my flamethrower chart.
Well, that's you.
Yeah, that's me. But that's just the way it is. But you're able to still use that order dice for something else. It's not, you don't have to use all the dice to shoot the guns. Just
Right, no,
clarifying.
no. And they fire on the transports action.
Right. Exactly.
So.
Okay. All right. And then the other one, this is one, my God, I feel like we've talked about this one in 43 of our 57 episodes.
Why does it always come up?
I don't. It's a confusing rule. I think they version 3 needs to do something about this because I think this is really, really troublesome. And I think one of the reasons why it's troublesome, and I don't think even Warlord gets it right, is I think the person that reached out to us had actually reached out to Warlord, and Warlord told them the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Right. So officers and transports. Everyone's like, half the people are rolling their eyes because we've talked about this so many damn
Page
times.
116, paragraph 4.
Right.
Says that only the morale bonus is used while they're on board.
Yeah, you cannot use snap to action.
They have to be on the table
Yep.
at the beginning of the round to use snap to action.
Yep.
Hold on. Beginning of the round or beginning of the turn for the officer?
Is there a way to do them otherwise?
Well, no, but
Okay.
well, you could get.
No, there's no way.
Right,
There's no
because if
way.
you get thrown out of a transport,
You get it down order.
order.
Yeah,
I
you're
forgot
down
you get
already,
down
yeah.
order for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's no way you would ever be able to get a guy on the
board
table without having an
without
order dice.
activating.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, which is by design. So, okay,
Or happy coincidence. Take your pick.
sure. So morale bonus is used. He can still provide the bubble too, correct? He can give his morale bonus to other people. He just can't
Other
snap.
people on that transport.
Only on the transport, not
But
anywhere
not
else.
near the transport.
Not
right.
near the
Okay.
transport.
All right. It's important to
You
clarify
can
that.
also use it when out flanking for the transport.
Right.
So.
Which is we know that works because
Yep.
it's the only reason why you would ever take an inexperienced truck is because you have a first lieutenant on it.
Or if you don't want your truck to come on the board.
There's that too, Jeff. Still,
That was my plan all along.
it's just like it won't get blown.
Objective number 2 achieved.
It will not get blown up. Or was it upset Rick, or was it never? Don't lose this truck ever.
Couldn't decide.
Okay.
Well, no,
or
no,
both.
because if they don't come in by the end of the game, they're considered casualties. So,
Yeah, I was holding them off till turn 6.
okay, there you go.
Well,
That's fine.
yeah, something
It's
like
all
that.
part of my master plan.
Okay. Anyway, so that one, and then in Warlord. So Warlord, in their infinite judgment here, I don't know which person responded to them, told someone that they could they could use snap to action off the truck, so they could bring all their crap out of the truck and throw it on the table. Mm-hmm. And it was like, and the example they used
do it all
was,
the time. It's a lot of fun.
yeah, because the example they gave was, yeah, I love it when I put a bunch of German pioneers in a truck and a flamethrower team, and then I snap them all off a truck. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like amazing fun. I want to do that too, but that's not how it works.
Yeah, right?
I'm like, yeah,
Maybe version 3 they do that. I don't know.
whatever. I don't know. I mean, I don't hate the idea of it, but we obviously have a rule set and we know how to play that's not going to happen, right? Like, you just play a different game if you knew that somebody's going to unload 50 dudes out of a freaking duck or a LVTV-6, a buffalo, or whatever the hell they are.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can't. Yeah.
Talk about knowing your rules. Come on.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, you can't do it out of duck because duck rules only hold 12 guys.
yeah, I'm sorry.
team
The
held
buffalo
24.
holds 36. Sorry, I'm gonna have a whole army of pioneers to jump out of a freaking.
I mean,
How many flamethrowers is that?
You could fit. Okay, so you'd have to take a 5-man pioneer squad with a flamethrower for you. I mean,
25 guys,
25 guys plus
5 squads with flamethrowers.
plus a couple LTs because you're gonna need at least a couple to get all those guys off.
Yeah,
The-
plus 2
off the
LTs
transport.
and then the 1 flamethrower guy. So that's
Wait a minute. How you
Well, if you take a captain and then 2 LTs, so you could snap, your captain could snap 4, and 2 of those are LTs.
no, major's got to snap 4.
Major.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
something like that. I want to see someone work this list out because that would be ridiculous. That's the ultimate clown car of flaming fun.
Well, actually, it'd be more efficient to do it with the German pioneer squads and a landwasher schlepper.
Yep.
The problem with the Germans is they have to be 6-man squads,
You can have a Flobpanzer, too.
and they're
Oh,
veteran.
what?
You can get regular level Americans,
That's true.
so you can get them
What
for
about the
70
flop
points.
Sack? Don't forget about the flop sack.
Gotta have the flop sack.
Plus, if you have all those guys on the Buffalo, they can shoot all their MMGs like the.
Well, I mean, we're still talking about a list we're trying to put together for a rule that doesn't actually exist. So.
Well, good point. Yeah, good point. But still, I want to see someone bring a buffalo full of flamethrowers.
They just go.
Just throw the buffalo at you and hurt you. The thing is like a giant chunk of resin.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
In their world, it does. So, anyway, maybe when version 3 comes out.
So when the dude's like, you're like, is that the plastic buffalo? He's like, no, this one's pewter. You see him drop it in a sock.
And you start running. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we've been seeing a lot of stuff recently. I think this is awesome because it's awesome in a sense that they're updating us and keeping us informed. Warlord has been telling us about all sorts of new stuff. I will say the first thing, so I think we saw an email probably about a month ago that had a blurry sprue in it.
Yeah.
And everybody was like losing their mind over it because they were excited about whichever faction got a new freaking plastic kit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned out to be Brits.
Yeah, it turned out to be British with commando heads.
Yeah, which is fine. Like,
what was interesting is that on the Warlord podcast, it was John Stallard who actually spilled the beans on that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that's totally okay, kind of.
Well, he can, but that's what he usually does.
Right.
That's a pretty good source.
Yeah, I'd say it's reliable for sure.
High confidence in this source.
Yeah.
Hey, it's about time that the British get some.
Shut
up.
up.
It's about time they get some new plastic.
Yeah, they really needed some new ones.
He did comment that the molds were 12 years old for their current plastic. So,
yeah,
they're kind of worn, I guess.
That's a long time on a set of probably on a
well, and being that
cast,
the British have some of the coolest rules, they probably sell the most.
I imagine that they're a British company.
Wrong.
That's probably true, but again, that's partly because they make the most British models too, right? Like,
well, hey,
the Finns don't sell because there aren't any fucking Finn models. Like,
also announced a plastic Jag Panther. So
okay. How many points is that?
Because the rules suck. I don't know.
Yeah, that's to be fair. Yeah.
Unless you have the plastic, the rules you don't have to use that negative rule.
It's like if I play an all plastic Italian army, can I just not have national rules? I'd take that.
Just play them as partisans.
Yeah, it's an interesting juxtaposition. I often wonder which miniatures sell better, the ones that look amazing or really good, or the ones that have the best rules. So,
I asked that question to John. He's like, I think they tracked that stuff. I said, that'd be interesting.
Oh my God.
He's like, I don't think I can give it to you. I'm
Yeah,
like, come on.
Yeah, that's not something I would ever expect to see, or even if we were able to see it, would not be able to say anything about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, listening to some of the podcasts, or not the podcast, but the YouTube videos of the various conventions and listening to the Warlord folks speak, I know they're tracking the data and stuff like that, so I know that they're aware of that stuff. But I think that would encourage them to write good rules for everyone, because then they'd be selling all kinds of plastic.
Not to sound salty, or maybe I'm going to pour a little bit of salt on here. I'm going to be salty. I know they're at least keeping track of some of that stuff because their mystery boxes surely show that they know what doesn't sell. Just going to say that those look not so hot. Not going to lie. I'm glad I did not buy one.
That's because you're not a war gamer that plays 20 different systems.
Fair. Or fair.
You play one system of theirs. If you played all of their systems,
you're going to get some Judge Dredd, some Pike and Shot.
I will say the value was there. It's not that the value wasn't there. I was expecting you got one bolt action sprue.
Right.
And
that's going to be the problem.
Right. They're primarily a bolt action company, and they're giving you all of their other game systems, which it maybe is by design. I don't know, but it's definitely know what doesn't sell.
Boxes I get at Adepticon.
It might be
fair.
It might be a fun way to knock out some of that checklist, is to pick up a mystery box from Warlord. And
I think they're up for pre-order again. Version 2 is up for pre-order right now. I think still. It was I'm not even tempted.
Piece in there, and so.
Yeah.
Some Gates Ventaris or.
Sure. I mean, I guess you guys make a good point. I'm going to go buy one right now. No.
Here we are still in for Warlord.
I heard somebody describe it as buying a Christmas present for yourself because you don't necessarily know what's coming in it.
Fair. Sure. I mean, that's
okay.
for sure. I don't know. I was underwhelmed. The value, like I said, the value was there if you were interested in all things Warlord. There was some cool stuff in there, but I was just not. I wasn't excited about it because it'd be awesome if they could just be like, do a bolt action mystery box. If it was all bolt action shit, but for whatever factions and stuff they have, like I'd be cool with that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It'd be the backorder Italians.
Everyone gets a whole Italian army. And okay, so all right, so we got the new British brew, and then we got a plastic panther coming.
Yeah, Yag Panther.
Yag Panther, but how many points is that thing?
A lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
But it looks cool.
It looks cool. It doesn't look that much cooler than any of the other Yag Panthers out there.
Well, have you played a
Kind
Tank
of.
Wars game yet? You could do that.
Even in a Tank Wars game, he's too expensive. Still like 2.5
That's less than the
Panzers.
Tiger 2, right?
Yeah, still,
Yeah,
but
way less than a
See?
Tiger too.
right, but it's
Easy
still
peasy.
two
Because it's
like
a Yag Panther. It's not a Yag Tiger.
right. But the Panther's still like 400 or 500 points. If somebody's going to go look it up right now, I can tell you.
I
that
am
right
in
now.
fact looking it up right now because
What's a regular Yag Panther?
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination.
How many Panzers can I get for it?
1.5, I think.
1.5. Okay,
That sounds
maybe
about
maybe not,
Maybe
maybe
one
then
and-
it's not.
Not,
All
I
right.
don't think you can get 2. So.
Gee, that's the Yag Tiger. Yag
$3.90.
Panzer. Yag Panzer. Not the fuel shortage. Oh, that does look cool though.
390, 468 veteran.
Whoa. Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah, it's 1.5. Like Dale, like you said,
Yag
it's about 1.5.
Yeah, but you know what? I've got tons of models that I've painted and not put on the table because they're cool.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
And it's not like it, I mean, look at it. It's an armored. It's a 10 heavy tank with a super heavy anti-tank gun.
It's it's a beast for sure. But it's expensive.
The Super Heavy is at a 3-inch template.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a 3-inch template. That's the.
How many
It's got,
MMGs does that
it's
thing
got
have?
Tiger Fear, which used to be a selling point.
They should
Yeah, no.
yeah, they should change it so that the heavy is a 3-inch and the Super Heavy is a 4-inch.
That would be
Then
enough to
tank
sell
would
it.
actually be worth taking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beast as it is. But okay, well that's cool. I'm not opposed to it. I just
Jag Tiger's only 448. It's only barely 60 points more.
Yeah,
That's
I
an
mean,
experience.
it's just a point of army, though, right? I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
point of armor. I mean,
yeah,
Fine armor.
yeah. All right,
Super.
so
All right, sorry.
yeah. Going back to the stuff
Looks
that there's
cool
been
as
announced.
hell, too.
So
Well, a
combined
new tank,
Oh.
a new cool tank. So.
new cool
Yeah, they're
tank.
cool. Plastic tanks are always cool.
I appreciate them. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I was hoping
And
for
they
I
have a
don't
lot
know.
of tank kits. I'm
Yeah.
starting to think that, there aren't. There, I mean, how many more can they do without, taking, doing these? So, I mean,
So you're asking a good question, but who knows? Hopefully we'll see. I mean, you know what? If they give us 1 or 2 new boxes a year, I'm okay with that. That's still reasonably good. If they release two infantry boxes this year, I think they did that. They're kind of on par for. I don't know how many they released last year. 2 or 3. 2.
we got some new winter. What was the winter troop we got last year?
Were they Americans? I can't recall. I think they were Americans.
We got there was some new for the Bolt Action Korea book. There was
Some new medals there.
some new plastic.
Oh, was it metals or plastics?
Yes.
Yes, both.
No, Bolt Action Korea, a lot of stuff was new. last year.
Yeah.
I mean-
So they releasing regularly releasing models, and I think the previous year was 8th Army and Africa Corp. So
That was last year.
Was that last year too? I think it
Or
was
the
2
year
years ago.
before.
I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
So we're seeing cool stuff, and I will say that's one of the few sets that I'm like, the Germans in that their rules are amazing for the Africa troops, and the models are amazing. But the British, I think the British look nicer, but that's because they're wearing shorts in the desert. But it's the guy. I mean, it just seems appropriate. I was like, dude, these guys are probably sweating. But anyway. All right, so then also announced was a combined arms game. I don't know much about this. What?
So this is announced
This is the thing we've been talking. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've heard about this.
this off
Okay.
We've heard about this. We've talked about it, but it's still in the works, and it's still looking to be spring. I
Okay.
wanna say.
Okay.
All right.
I was talking to John about this, and I'm like, yeah, what I'm really interested is to see when I can get my playtest copy. He's like, yeah, me too. I'm like, dang it. Guess that's not coming. Okay.
All right.
But it's going to be, hopefully it's going to be really cool. It sounds like it's worked out, and they're doing really well. So
Cool. All right. Then
also springtime is supposed to be D-Day Book 3, which I think is going to be called Cobra. That's one of those operations in D-Day, right?
It's Operation Cobra, yeah.
Gojo.
So that's maybe summer.
Okay.
Yes, Gojo against Cobra.
Yeah.
They're going to do a Band of Brothers Pacific box set.
So, okay.
Sure.
I don't have a time frame on that one. I just know
That's fine. So by Band of Brothers specific box set, they mean like a starter set that has specific themed forces in it, right?
Yep, it'll have Marine.
Something, yeah. Okay, well,
Yeah.
not the end of the world.
Right. Yeah, I got my nephews that live over in Okinawa. I got them the Band of Brothers box set a couple
Nice.
months ago. So, well, they've been eating the crap out of Axis and Allies, and they're 14, 16. I'm like, there you go, guys.
It's perfect age to get them started at.
Yep.
Probably not
So-
eat the models in that game though. Don't eat
You're
Axis.
playing the wrong Axis and Allies.
Don't eat Axis and Ally models.
You play with your Swedish fish and goldfish and Ritz crackers, and you're like,
Right.
That sounds like
But
fun.
yeah,
All right.
$50 is a great way to get into a game. So
Yep. That's
I'd
wonderful.
like to see that coming out.
Yeah.
And then the last sad news. Remember that firefight game we were playtesting?
Yeah.
Dead, burnt, chopped, incinerated. Author has been made redundant.
Ooh.
So that's not coming back.
Well.
But still out there is the Street Academy, which is current one out there, which is the current firefight, one dice per guy thing.
Yep.
And they've also got the Libyan taxi service. I forget that's dropped in Hell's Pocket. I forget if those have dropped already, if they're still coming out soon. That's what we have left. So that firefight is bye-bye.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, it had potential.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Well, whatever. I guess it's a little bit sad. It had potential. It really did have potential.
Yep.
Especially like the starter boxes. I thought were a really good idea.
Yes, but at least they are doing the $50 starter boxes.
Yes,
So they took
that's-
something positive from it.
Yeah, that's definitely a good starting point. I will also say I'm happy that they brought back the army builders on the website. That if in case
bundle?
you didn't, so you can like build your own bundles, which I think is really nice. That people were not, in case you were not aware of, or you're new. They used to have these things where you could pick I think you pick an infantry or two infantry, some kind of armored vehicle. And I think you got like a support unit or something with it too.
Yep.
But it's usually like about 15% savings, something like that. I don't remember. It's percentage saved.
It seemed to me that the tank was free. Whichever tank you selected, you ended up getting that for free.
And
Yeah, you got like $125 worth of stuff for $100.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which is nice.
super great deal. If you're looking at starting a new army, that sometimes is a good place to look. I will say that I think they did this last time, or like when they used to do this, and when they're bringing it back, is sometimes your choices are limited, and you may want to like pay attention to that. And and quite honestly, sometimes you're like, is the free tank worth it if I'm never going to use that particular tank that's given to me as an option? So
Don't select the support MMG.
no, right,
Yeah,
definitely
don't
never
put
get the
them in
MMG.
MMG.
Yeah, get the mortar or whatever they offer you, but don't get the MMG if you can avoid it.
And this is we're talking version 2. I mean, things might change, but... So if you listen to this in 3 years and MMGs are like...
Amazing.
Bananas good.
I feel like this entire year's worth of podcasts are going to be an interesting time capsule for future people listening.
Well, just the idea of like what we're going through, sure. Yeah. Just how we
Well,
how we
and like
handle
if
it.
there's a version 3, people can be like, what were these idiots talking about? Like, imagine like 2 years from now you're playing, or 3 years from now you're playing version 3, and MMGs rock and medium mortars are trash. Tiger Furious is back to being this. No, well, actually,
Super-
Tiger Fury doesn't exist, and people are like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah. And the British are horrible. And
Right. And
Well, that's not going to happen.
Gurkhas are like 0-1 and they suck or something,
Right. Yeah. they're veteran shirkers or something stupid like that. Yeah.
Something just stupid like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been talking for a long time. We're going to take a short break. I don't know what the music is. Wait. Oh, we got some music. No, I don't see it in here, Pat. Bummer. Anyway.
I haven't picked it up yet.
It's okay. We'll come back and we'll talk
good.
about Partisans. I think we have a few more topics we're going to talk about. We'll be back in a little bit.
All the day long, whether rain or shine, she's a part of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie, the riveter, keeps a sharp lookout for sabotage. Sitting up there on the fuselage, that little frill can do more than a bill can do. Rosie, the riveter. Rosie's got a boyfriend, Charlie. Charlie, he's a Marine. Rosie is protecting Charlie, working overtime on the riveting machine. When they gave her a production need, she was as proud as a girl could be. There's something true about red, white, and blue about Rosie, the riveter. Rosie, the riveter. Rosie, 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 working on assembly line. Rosie, 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 the riveter on the assembly line.
Welcome back. Hope you like the music. As of before the last couple episodes, I don't know what it is, so I hope you enjoyed it.
Great.
It's always great. It's never not great, especially Waltzing Matilda.
Jesus. Wow.
All right, sorry. I will let that one die eventually.
I don't think you will.
I will.
Right until he makes shirts with Waltzing Matilda on them.
Dude, if I joke and you ever played Waltzing Matilda, that would be the end of it for me, because it's not... Oops. Anyway, so we had a couple more topics to cover before the break, but we all had to stop. So let's talk about what...
I didn't have to stop.
Oh, we had... I did. For a second. Yeah, good point. I'm Chatty McChat. Bodie McBoatface.
It's like we all don't get out to talk to people, and so when we do this, we just have everything in the world to say.
Right?
What is our excuse for the first 4 years? Apparently we didn't get out of the house anyway. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We were less interested.
We were less interested.
There's that too.
Yeah, well, that's a given.
Have
All
you
right.
gotten interested?
That's not to establish that we're actually interesting at this point. We're just much less interesting previously than we are currently.
Yeah, I did point out to someone today that I'm sure whatever you think of us in the podcast, we probably aren't even close to that in real life. So, take that for what you will.
I'm much shorter in real life than I am on the podcast.
I'm as short as you are too, Pat. So don't worry. So
Drunk Dale is the same.
drunk Rick is pretty accurate too, quite honestly, but you don't get that very often. Anyway, so we brought this up. I think was this last episode 56, where we were talking about Soviets and we were talking about paratroopers. And I think our statement still stands that you can't get Soviet
paratroopers, but they do have an airborne unit.
Yes. We know that. We didn't call that out because we also recognized they weren't the same thing.
Right.
So
well, I mean, I pretty much said they were the same thing, but
they got different rules.
They can buy Tough Fighter, but they're not stubborn. So they're not paratroopers in the sense that the paratroopers basically are stubborn.
All others,
all other paratroopers
Yeah.
are stubborn. So
which whatever. It's just worth noting. We heard you loud and clear. I think we had multiple people message us saying somebody's probably told you by now, but there is a Soviet airborne unit. Like, yeah, we know.
I love it
it's
when
not.
there's the first person that says someone's already told you. Like, no, actually, that's you first.
But I do think we got a couple messages about it. Like, yeah, we got it.
thanks for listening.
Yes, thanks for listening.
Yep.
Super appreciate it.
And I actually do appreciate it because we didn't. I don't think we really called it out well enough, and we recognize that yes, there's an airborne unit. They're not paratroopers in our minds because they don't have the stubborn rule like all the other paratroopers do. They do have airborne though, so they have some form of air support. All right.
Interestingly enough, they are now available for pre-order on Warlord's website.
Yeah, they probably did that intentionally.
Yeah, they have a 10-man metal unit. So
Yep.
Interesting.
Well, there you go.
hopefully they'll be released in February.
Also got the
after this one.
DVD. They're also in that same pre-order bundle.
Yeah. Yep.
What have I not seen?
That was a while ago. But they're
So
still
not only did our listeners smack us down a little bit, Warlord gave us kind of the middle finger, saying,
did.
"Oh, ho, ho, ho."
here, guys. They're here.
Look what we have.
So
They're still not stubborn. Give us stubborn.
It'd be funnier if they said, "Now with stubborn."
little burst in the corner of the picture. Now
Yeah,
with stubborn.
Now with stubborn.
Sure.
With rule pack to make them stubborn.
Right? Yeah, they come with the card that has stubborn on it. That'd be awesome, actually.
Wasn't there an American unit they did that with?
I think it's a Bandit Brothers
Bandit
box.
Brothers, that's
but,
Yeah, they had some cards in there. If they did that, we'd start every episode would be just a wish list of things that we want to have fixed, though. If they gave us what we actually were wanting, that
Almost every other episode is a version 3 wish list. So
Yeah, maybe
why
we'll
not?
do that next. Maybe we'll do that next episode.
okay.
I hear they really love it when we do that too. So they're gonna poke us by putting those guys on order. We can poke them by, hey, what else would be cool in version 3?
Right?
I don't know that they actually might have been just a happy coincidence. Quite honestly, I don't think they're.
I don't
us.
believe in coincidences.
It's possible that they're just waiting on those things. So in that
well,
case,
if you
give
collect
us more.
Soviets, it is a happy thing for you.
Yeah,
so.
It's
no,
true.
yeah,
The NKVD squad was pretty cool looking. So
Assuming you like Soviet airborne. Yeah.
right. Anyway, all right. Yep. Okay.
Soviets at this point.
Yep. Yeah. If you had no Soviets, it's enough Soviets. But anyway, so one of our other listeners owns a store in our area, which is actually fabulous. I love to hear from people that are supporting Bolt Action locally. We have 3 or 4 stores that do it. I think 3 stores
Yep.
that I know of off the top of my head. So it's nice that we have some support for Bolt Action locally. This one, I don't know if we're saying the name out loud. I guess we are. Battleground Cafe.
yeah.
Battleground Cafe.
It's the north
we
side
can
of
plug
town.
locals. Come on,
yeah,
man.
yeah, that's fair. Good point, because you guys support our local stores.
Absolutely.
This is a good way for us to be able to do that. So Battleground Cafe on the north side. It's a smaller store, if I understand correctly, but they do have Bolt Action in stock.
Their hope is to get into a larger store, but then COVID.
Yeah, it's kind
I
of
was talking
throws
to
a
the
wrench in
owner
everything.
a couple weeks back, and he was like, "Yeah, we had the papers signed and everything, and then COVID, and it just went."
Well, it's probably for the better that they didn't end up with a bigger space with
Right.
higher rent,
So
and then
right now
not
they
be able to survive.
with the restrictions they have a big enough store that they can have 2 games going, but you have to contact them. They have a Discord channel, or you can call the store and set something up.
Okay.
And basically, you can reserve a night that you can just set up a game with somebody. And right now they're actually doing an escalation league because they have a bunch of. I think he said 8 players when
Nice.
back in March they started.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So they're all basically new players, and they've been, asking us questions along the way. He's like, "Sorry, I got another dumb question." I'm like, "No, dude,
No.
I'd ask away."
Yeah.
Please.
No questions too dumb.
No, and none of his questions have been dumb. It's just like
No,
these
they
are
haven't been.
Yeah, they're the tricky,
had-
nuanced things that you're like,
Yeah.
no, we need to you need to have someone tell you these things, and it's
we
really
had the
hard right
exact
now.
same questions when we were starting out.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he actually showed me his rule book, and it looks a lot like mine. He's got it tabbed, highlighted,
Jeez.
and a little reference to further rules on this page. So
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
I just-
everything.
I just got a kick out of it that their store is literally like 2 blocks from my office.
That's cool.
And I drive by it every time I go to work, and I was just like, oh, but I never thought anything of it. I was like, oh, Battleground Cafe. I was like, that's a weird name for a coffee shop. Well, lots of stuff up there has odd names, you know. I mean,
Fair.
Like,
I used to work at that Perkins right on that road.
oh, no kidding.
Yep.
There you go.
Ah.
What town is it in again?
They're technically, are they not technically in White Bear there, I think?
That's really close. I think they're actually Vadnais Heights.
Oh,
Okay.
they're Vadnais
Oh,
Heights.
okay.
Okay, yeah, I
All
wasn't
right.
sure where the cutoff line for Vadnais Heights was.
So, for those
I
that
used
are
to
local.
live up there. Let's see, that put me at just under a mile from where that is, and the city hall insisted I lived in Gem Lake when my address was White Bear Lake, and I was like, no, dude, you don't understand. I pay my taxes to you, and they're like, no.
Nice.
If you'd like me not to, by all means.
Right?
But that's cool, man. I'm super happy, and I hope when this pandemic crap blows over a little bit, we can drop in and see him and say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I would actually even like to play a game.
Yeah, I would too. I can just start throwing my stuff in the back of the truck, and I can go in there after work.
There you go.
I
Yes.
really want to set up my Stalingrad board. I mean,
Just for shits and grins? Just to look at it
well,
and
no,
admire.
for people to play on it. I just,
Oh, for sure.
yeah. Damn, I want to play on it, but
Yeah,
That's,
I
that's
want you
only
to set it up so I can just gawk at it.
I
Right.
just
it's only
it doesn't
2
fit
car
in one
trips.
car.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit in one car.
I wonder if it would fit inside my minivan better than the back of the Traverse.
It might. Yeah,
have to take
logistic
out a lot of
apparently
stuff.
isn't my thing. Anyways,
Yeah.
Does anyone have one of those like '80s minivans? You can take all the seats out in the driver's seat. Because then it might fit.
I'm actually, the Stow and Go allows you to do that. Basically, folds all your seats back into the ground. So
Oh yeah,
it's basically a cargo van. I can get a 4x8 sheet of plywood in there, just about.
well, it sounds like we have a place maybe to do something. So
Yeah, that's cool.
Very cool.
I'm happy to see that they have new players. I think that's super awesome that there's a group of relatively new players by the sounds of it,
And excited and passionate
Yep.
about it, which is great.
and like worked through like who gets which faction, which I think is awesome because there's not a lot of redundancy in their group either. So
right.
welcome to Bolt Action. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
So
The league they're currently running is even being supported by Warlord, and I know I hooked him up with John's number, and they're just talking about getting more product and other games from Warlord in there too. So
That's awesome.
good deal.
okay, all right. So then we had some listener question. Andrew asked if Andrew E. I'm not going to use his whole last name. Is there a campaign book you would like to see? Would we like to
Yes.
see? Yes. I mean, like what? Not several. Yeah, not another sea lion.
Me in particular, I stumbled across because I was because I'm starting to build the Soviet army. I wanted to try and get some inspiration and some colors, and I came across on Amazon Prime. There's this documentary series called The Soviet Storm: World War II in the East, and it's in the East because it was actually written for the Soviet viewers, or Russian at this point.
Yep.
So that just reminds me of that the Jeopardy show we had where you guys were just puzzled by it. You couldn't get the IS-3 in the East, and you're like, "What? No, it was the West." But yeah, so and like I think his episode 3 was the Siege of Sevastopol.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about at all. But it was really cool. Now, there is a blurb and there is a theater selector for it in the Soviet book. But, they've done this before. I mean, heck, there's... Mariana and Palau, there was selectors for that in the American book, and they took and expanded and made it even better.
Yep.
So I think with some really good opportunities, they could do that with this as well. It's basically Germany and Romania with a little bit of the Italian Navy versus the Soviets. And it was basically, right, if you know where the Black Sea is, I think that should be vague enough for everyone. It's pretty much, there's a little peninsula that sticks right in there, and that's where this whole operation took place. So I think they could do a lot of stuff with the Soviet Navy infantry. They had some very interesting scenarios they could do. They even had some Navy ships, and they had these huge freaking mortars, German super mortars, the Karl Garat. Particularly 2 they had there were called Thor and Odin. They only ever made 6 of these.
That's
I gave you guys
awesome
a link
names, but
to someplace that actually they're actually selling a 3D printed one. I don't know to ever buy that. But basically this thing's like the size of a train car.
sweet.
And the mortar shells are like the size of a man.
Bigger,
I think I've seen
size
this.
of a VW Bug.
Yeah,
I've seen this particular model
Height-wise,
before.
about the size of a man.
You know, somewhere I think I have an STL for one of these.
Do you?
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
what in God's green earth? This thing is super expensive. The thing you listed is because it's actually printed.
Yeah, that's the
He's
full
not
thing
selling the
printed.
file.
Oh,
And he
gotcha,
doesn't have the file listed anywhere. He's only selling it printed.
Finished product, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Still
in
pricey.
Canadian dollars, so it's not like it's real money.
Oh, so that's like, what, $5 then?
No, I think it's like, I don't even know what the exchange is, like 66 cents on the dollar, so 2/3 of that.
Okay.
Which
Seven-
is reasonable.
it's
I paid
80,
that for that
80
submarine
cents.
I have.
80 cents.
What was it, up to 80 cents? Jesus.
78 cents right now.
Oof, okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's
Still.
still a lot of money. It's still like
Oh, yeah.
$150.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's fully printed for you, I mean,
Yeah. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. If people want it, and that's within their
that's
budget.
that's not much more than like one 40K tank, you know. So
Good point, actually.
Yeah.
It's pretty
That's
close.
probably where he's putting his price point at.
Yeah.
But I mean, the whole thing started because Russians were using that as their airstrip to bomb the oil fields.
Okay.
So, and that's when they decided to make the swing down. And they're supposed to have it done in what was it, Order 33 or something like that from Hitler. They're supposed to push through it in 2-3 months because they were having great success at this point, and the Russians dug in pretty serious. They even had a couple of battle emplacements, emplacement number 30 and number 35. And it's basically battleship guns built into this mountain with a 26 kilometer range on them.
Wow.
Jesus.
So, now you could give, because the Soviets are struggling so much, you could give them like a forward naval observer for these mountain guns.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because the Soviets don't have enough in their toolbox right
Yeah,
now.
right. Yeah, because they
can
need
always
to do
do
a
one
lot
more
of
thing.
I thought of another one during our discussion about this. I would love to see one regarding the Norwegian heavy water sabotage.
Oh yeah, that's a great.
That's a great scenario. What would you an awesome scenario?
Right. The reason why I love the idea of it is you could give the Norwegians better special rules.
Was that the heavy water? Or was that for the nuclear program?
Yeah, the Germans were researching nuclear power or nuclear bombs, and I actually love reading through it because I hadn't read all of it, but enough of it was like there were enough failed attempts in front of it that it's kind of the Allies didn't just kick their tail in or anything, right? I think there were 3. It looks like there were 3 or 4 missions before they actually succeeded. The scariest part I found is that they sank the ferry with the heavy water in a lake. Like, oh man, that's gotta suck for that lake. It's a little warm. I don't know, but so just an interesting. I like the idea of it just because it give you you get the opportunity to maybe give the Norwegians something different or better or more.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Though
I
it's
also thought this Sieges Festival was cool because they had a failed Dunkirk when they finally had to abandon in 42.
oh cool.
And that, they tried to get boats, but there weren't any there.
Yeah.
I think they even referred to it as like the Unkirk at one point.
That makes the worst movie ever.
Well, these sailors were, it's 6 miles, so it's too far to swim.
Yeah.
So they're doing whatever they could to build some sort of raft or something just to
man.
get out to where, the Navy could pick them up. And some of them did, and a lot of them didn't.
That's
But
depressing and
spoiler,
sad.
They came back in 44 and pushed Germany back out.
There you go. Well, there you go. Okay.
But I think that would be a very, very cool theater campaign book that they could do.
That would be.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool,
Just
actually.
in the sense, it was a lot of stuff that and my wife was watching it too, and she's like, "When did this take place?" I'm like, "I have no idea. What the heck?" Really interesting.
Dude.
They had, they went through the different counteroffensives and the beach landings. There's even one part where they had to come in through a bay, and one captain was supposed to ram. There's like they block off the bay of some sort of shipping blockade type thing or whatever, and he was supposed to basically ram it and sacrifice his ship so that they could get into the harbor for this landing. And he chickened out and left.
Oh, of course.
And then was, shot for his desertion sometime later. But that's on a whim. One of the captains just went in to check, and they had forgot to close the harbor.
Whoops.
So they got to go in anyway.
Oh, there you go.
So there's some interesting operations in there, and just what they had to do, and the advancement of the Germans through all that, and the different firepower they threw at it. And that was even they had this big super cannon that was like on a railway that took them like 10 weeks to assemble. I don't know if you can get a model for that one. That's not quite the right scale that you're looking for, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just a paper towel tube.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Just strap that to a toy train, and you're probably close to the size.
Yeah, but you probably want to be, what's the big scale? O scale?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh, I'd say HO. Isn't most of it HO? I
forget.
Dude, I have to Google it every time. So
I think O scale is bigger than HO.
Yeah, I think HO is more in line with 156, though, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, HO is just a little. O scale is closer to 156.
Oh, is it O? Okay,
smaller.
I can. Yeah, see, I can't remember.
N scale is the tiny one.
Yeah, you don't want L.
And small O is big, so.
Okay.
I feel like HO is more analogous to 172.
And I think
maybe smaller.
You're probably right, and I think that's why I'm thinking it is HO is what's most common. I think O is hard to find. Yeah, okay.
And it's more expensive.
So. And more expensive.
I've got an HO.
Those are big tracks.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's the nerdy comments there.
I thought that would be an awesome idea for a campaign.
Dude,
Andrew.
totally.
Someone picks it up.
Totally.
Yeah. If anyone else has ideas, we'd love to hear them. Join us on Discord and we can discuss them and Google your ideas as much as we can.
Absolutely.
Did you say Google their ideas?
Google. Well, I'll Google it too because they probably won't know it, but or I'll want to learn more about it. So
and an
let's keep
opportunity
going.
to finally get some new German units into the game.
Oh dear God, because they don't have enough.
They don't have nearly enough.
No, because they'll still give them. The problem is the Germans get the units, but they're god awful.
That's just the late war stuff.
Yeah, well, all this recent stuff that we've been getting.
And old men and 12-year-old boys into the battle.
What?
Yeah.
Well, they were losing. So.
Yeah, they weren't exactly winning at that
Being
point.
told to point it this direction and pull the trigger.
And they had like Goliaths and things. Those are cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's a good RC toy, right?
I mean, that's what they told them to do. Just remote control this over there. Anyway.
Beats strapping a bomb to a dog. Come on.
Yeah, and then having to run back at your own tank.
Exactly.
Yeah, whoops. Someone didn't think that one through. Well, maybe they did. They might have just been desperate to try and kill some tanks.
They should have done it with cats. Cats are assholes.
No, but then they lay in your face and you blow yourself up. Like,
that's true.
They would not participate in whatever you're doing.
Am I misremembering this, or completely wasn't there a program where they tried to use cats as spies?
Pigeons.
Oh, I don't know this one.
Pigeons they used as spies.
I could swear that there was something.
No, you're right. Cats were spies in it.
I know in the Cold War we tried to train dolphins to kill people, but I don't know about cats.
Yeah, so yes, I remember this. It was Operation Acoustic Kitty.
Wow.
CIA.
It was Americans. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Americans. It was CIA tried to use cats to use them as I think they were trying to put bugs on the cats and have the cats go into places. However, they only ever produced one kitty because something's popped up. Abandoned the project after a test with a cat went horribly wrong. Apparently, got ran over by a car on the way to wherever it was supposed to go.
That's just bad luck.
Must have been on his last leg.
Yeah, so they were trying to listen to two men sitting on a park bench, and apparently the cat wandered into the street and got run over. This is very
the Borden legacy. That would have been really dull.
Right. It's very much men who stare at goats type shit. If you're not familiar with that movie's hilarious. Brad Pitt, I think, is in that one. Anyway,
Clooney too, I think.
Clooney, yes, Clooney's incredible in that one because he's like the crazy like conspiracy nut, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, well, actually, is Brad Pitt even in it? I think he's got to be.
I don't remember. I know Clooney is, but I don't remember.
I try to remember if that was a Coen Brothers movie, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, let's talk about Partisans now. Finally, let's get to the topic that everyone wanted to listen to. We're like
2 hours later.
Yeah, we're like straight up clickbait at this point. It's like, hey, we're going to talk about Partisans, and 2 hours later we'll talk about them. Haha, King fooled you. Maybe fast forward if you don't like that. Anyway, all right, we're going to talk about them again. We talked about them in episode 11, but let's talk about them again. I think people were like, you guys were pretty fresh, and I think we were pretty fresh at episode 11 still.
Yeah.
As far as like what we were expecting to see, or we hadn't really been in any. Had we even been to a tournament yet at that point?
Yeah.
Had we? Okay.
Yeah.
Had we done Bug Eater already?
Yeah, because I think 10 was when we all got drunk at.
Yeah,
Drunk
10
at
was
Bug
the Bug Eater
Eater. Okay.
special.
Okay.
Bug Eater.
So shortly after probably our first big tournament. All right, so let's talk about Partisans. So let's start by talking about their army list rules, because I think that's their special rules. Let's talk about them because they are unique, right? Because they have Fieldcraft,
They got Fieldcraft, yep.
which makes them special.
Which means they can start the game in hidden, and they can start the game in ambush.
Yep.
Does that also allow them to move through rough terrain for free the first turn?
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say,
Rough ground and obstacles as open ground for purposes of movement in the
First turn.
First turn, which is pretty sweet too.
Yep.
So that's
Get
like
you in position.
2 rules in 1 there.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, for sure.
That's a great rule.
I love that rule, and it does pop up in a lot of different armies. I love that it's
smaller ones.
Yeah, I used to say most of the was it Axis or Allies? I don't remember, but it shows up enough that it's a cool rule. I think some of the Chinese have it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no forward deployment there, is there?
No, this is not
No.
Sparrow Tactics.
Yeah, the
It's
Chinese,
just,
I think, had some of the units had forward deployment as well, although that got FAQ'd.
fixed a little bit, yeah. So it's not nearly as scary as it was. And then their other rule is, I don't remember what it's called.
Let's,
what do we want
Jeff,
to talk about?
why do you think that's a really good rule?
Well, here's the thing. Let's start at the top that people don't exploit hidden setup nearly as well as they should, and particularly hidden in ambush, because people are like, oh, they're too into the habit of, I just want to throw my units on the board and let's shoot at each other and the game's over.
Yeah.
Starting in hidden and ambush gives you strategic positioning that, like, any gaps in terrain you're covering with a unit already in ambush, like starting there, so you don't have to wait for your order dice to come out and give them the ambush order.
So
They're
now,
already starting ready to cover lanes and inflict casualties turn 1, and that's fantastic.
Okay.
okay, so how do you place something in hidden?
It has to be in some form of cover or completely out of line of sight
When you deploy it,
when
correct?
you deploy it. Yep.
So if you deploy the very first unit of the game,
Yep.
and
You
you
are
put it-
automatically completely
cover,
out of
you're
line of sight.
automatically in hidden.
Yep. Correct.
Well, you are out of line of sight,
Yep.
in which case then you have to actually denote that unit is hidden at that point in time.
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
you'll want to stick a marker by it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's companies that make those kind of tokens.
Sure are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think even Warlord makes them.
So I think and I did that very deliberately, just because it's not at the start of the game do you then look around and see, okay, who could be in hidden. It's when you place that unit on the
Yep.
table.
Yes.
You then check for the A, B, and C. Are they in cover? Are they lying on the other side? Then yes, put them in hidden.
And it's an or on that, not an and. It's an or. They can be in cover or out of line of sight.
Yeah.
Correct.
They could be hidden in.
People could draw line of sight to you, but if you are in cover, you can still be hidden.
Yep.
Yep. And so if you're hidden, that moves the penalty for shooting you to -4 in soft cover and -5 in hard cover.
Right. Basically, good luck hitting. I mean, basically, you're going to need 7s to hit you.
Yeah.
Yep. And indirect does not range in. It's always a 6+.
Yep.
There you go. You can be spotted though if a unit gets within 6 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches.
Or dogs have a slightly longer
18-inch range. Yeah.
18
All right.
inch.
So who-
Vehicles are 6.
Yep.
And who else thought that the rules were really good?
I thought I agree with Jeff on everything he just said, but I also I like the other side of it too, that it allows
So
you
tell
to
us
move.
about the other side of it.
Right, so
What
being
are the
able
strengths
to
there?
so being able to run through terrain on your first turn is it just allows you to set up better, right? So you can get to that place. I don't know. It depends on this, obviously the table you're sitting on, but there are often circumstances where you're like, oh, I have to run through this, through this dense terrain to get to wherever I want to be. Whereas now you just get to ignore it. It kind of can catch people off guard.
So I can build on that. When I was playing Hungary a couple of years ago, they have a unit that treats woods as open ground.
Yep.
Which was really nice, because a lot of times those terrain pieces are about 6 inches and about 6 inches up from the end, and that this will allow you, like, say, first wave, to come on and get to that front edge of that woods, so that you're not having to take the -1 penalty for firing through, where normally you'd only be able to advance and you could barely get into that woods.
Or if you even get into it, right, because you wouldn't be able to run, you wouldn't have been able to get in there.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's where this really, especially first wave stuff, this is really good.
Okay, so it's good on the first wave. Do you find it good? Well, okay, so I guess we'll revisit this when we start talking about specific units.
Yep.
That might take advantage of this aspect of the rule versus the other aspect of the rule. Okay.
Yeah,
I agree with both of you. I think the rules are fantastic, and they're double-edged in that it cuts in two different ways. It can be great for reactionary play. It can be great for aggressive play, depending upon how you build your list. Okay.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
second one is infiltration, which is not that amazing, but when they're outflanking, they just ignore the -1 for the order test for coming out.
That's amazing. It's
pretty solid.
It can be clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's no put your first order dice back in the bag if your opponent wants it to, but
it's no.
That'd be a communications breakdown, by the way.
No negative morale bonus when you are down order dice.
Yeah.
It's nothing special like that, but I mean, Americans get it. Several armies get this rule, and I think it plays a role.
You have to be commando in the British Army to get this rule.
There you go. But the fact that it
and pay a point for it, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we don't have
the
to
thing
do
is, there's specialist units in other lists that have this rule, but this is army wide here, which is why it's extra awesome.
Right.
Like traffic directors came with this rule in a couple of the campaign books and stuff.
Yeah, there are some specific commando-y units in different armies that have it.
And it could be nice if you're trying to save some points and you've got an inexperienced transport. I mean, this could make a big difference. So
Yes.
Well, I mean, an inexperienced squad is basically testing on a regular for the purposes of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one pip makes a huge difference.
Yep.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's for an
Number of
army.
times I can roll 9 of my regular transport coming in. I can count on both hands and need some extra hands.
Right, but and this will come up in the key units. This actually plays a role in this army because it does kind of help some of the things that I think are some of the strengths of the army. So, let's. Is there another one? Is there a third one? Or is it just the two?
Bomb.
Oh yeah, forgot that. Yeah, we can't forget that one.
This is just disgusting.
Yeah, because this is great.
So start of the game. That means if you're not doing a first wave scenario, this is after deployment has taken place.
Yep. Oh, that makes it so much worse too.
They get 3 round card counters, 20 millimeter diameter, and they can place them anywhere in the table outside of the other player's deployment zone. They're booby traps.
Dear God.
it's a great way to check off one of those boxes on the list.
Right.
Create your own objective.
Start a partisan list and make these.
The first enemy unit that moves within 6 inches of the counter must immediately roll a dice. So the second you get that 6-inch breach, stop, roll the dice, see what happens. 1, 2, 3, it's a dud, take it off the board. 4 or 5, nothing really happens. But next enemy unit that moves within 6 must retest. So that's not the same unit again, still being. What's
Dear
the vehicle?
God.
It's 3d6 hits.
Oh my God. At what pen value?
+4.
+4. Oh my God.
And here's the other part. It only affects enemy units. Partisan units, no matter how close they get, won't trigger it.
Oh my God. Okay.
You get 3 of them.
Yes, you get 3 of them.
Now, you said if it's not a first wave scenario.
You still
Okay,
start
yeah.
of the game.
Yeah, they always get.
So, but they have to place them before anyone's been moved onto the table. So
Yeah.
Where you pull the first dice on turn 1.
Right.
Yep.
So your snipers your advanced deployers are out.
Right. So yeah, you're just going to have to make an estimated guess as to where they are. So in like that particular scenario, you're going to use it to shut down, a lane, or you're controlling a board. You're controlling some board space with it, right? Is essentially what you're trying to do. Or objectives. Or you just really want one thing gone. You can just put all three of them next to each other. Oof.
Yeah, because objectives, don't you usually have to be within 3 inches to claim it? And so...
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to
have to be within 6 inches of the bomb, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way to get past the bomb unless it just duds out, but...
And almost every scenario, removing an order dice is very beneficial to the win conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Pat?
Yeah.
Do you think is there a ruling, or how would you do it if I put my marker inside a building next to the objective? Would that level the building?
Yes.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Yes. The unit inside the building takes the 3d6, and if you get the 12 or more on that, the building comes down. How do I know this? I lost a 10-man squad of Gurkhas to it.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Brutality.
Well, okay, so that's how we would rule it, and I don't disagree with that, but it doesn't actually say that in the rules, does it, as far as the interaction of the bomb with terrain feature? A building, in this case.
It doesn't, but it does say it's an HE hit, and the building coming down is an HE hit rule.
Yep.
So you're kind of only...
Okay, so it is a template. You're right.
It's not a template.
And it's not a template.
Oh, it is not a template.
HE value hit.
Right, because if it were a template and it did to a vehicle, it'd be one single
Does it say it's an HE hit, or does it say it has a penetration of +4?
HE value of 3d6, d6 pin, and +4 penetration is how it's
same
worded.
stats as the explosive shell from a heavy howitzer with an HE.
I guess it depends upon the kind of building it is, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. It's just a matter of running through what it is, because people are going to be like, "Are you sure it works like that?" And so I think that's why we think that's why how.
And that's why I asked Pat what his opinion was. Yeah. I think it drops the building too, but I've certainly been wrong about things before.
Well, and it's one of those weird scenarios where this is a first edition book and a second edition change things. Yep. But this is the only circumstance where I know they actually went against the template. Right? This is the first time I've ever seen them say, no, it's not a template, it's 3d6 dice, instead of actually converting to the template.
Right, so in the FAQ for the Armies of France and the Allies FAQ, Partisan special rule in the Armies of France and Allies, an enemy unit moving within 6 inches from the bomb token is hit by the equivalency of a heavy howitzer, 3d6, blah, blah, blah. Second edition BA, should this be 3d6 or a template? And they simply said 3d6 hits if the target unit was in a building.
Okay.
So the building falling on top of them.
Essentially.
Okay.
So you roll 3d6, you roll that 12, it's 12 hits against the unit, plus the building's coming down.
Ouch.
So the unit's eliminated.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, because the building would take the hits as well.
Yep.
So what if
I think the key line in that is as if the target unit was in a building.
What if I put the token in a...
By the rules, you're supposed to make that 2 different buildings.
That's
Thanks,
true.
Pat.
Yeah, big buildings are supposed to be 2.
Yep, they're supposed to be capped at 6 to 8 inches.
But if there's an okay, so say it's a 6x6, and
So if I booby trap the building,
is it from the marker or from
if
the
the
building?
unit comes within 6 inches of the building, does it set it off, or do you keep the marker?
It says the marker.
Okay.
It depends where you put the marker.
Okay. Good to know.
Because it says in here it says of the marker.
Yep, and I agree with that as well. I just know that I can see someone going, well, the marker's in the building. If
You
something's in the
measure
building,
range,
the whole building kind of counts as that thing. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but that's not what it says.
That's not what it says. All right, so those are
But
some...
yeah, these are all great points.
Yeah, it's some smoking hot rules.
Completely wrong, but I don't think so.
I think we're not. I don't. You got the fact.
Well, I mean, we've explained why we think the way that we do. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Those are awesome rules. I think I love the partisan rules. They are.
I think
good.
there's some amazing synergy.
Yeah,
in those
for
rules.
sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there's a 50% chance that bomb isn't going to do anything, but that terrifying threat of it is going to make I've been very leery about being near those things.
And
All right, so my last question about the interactions then, and I just want to clarify this because I can hear some folks thinking probably if they're listening. So my unit has come within 6 inches and it's tested on that marker. When it moves in the next round, does it need to test again?
No, because it says the next unit.
Okay, so if another unit moves in and they test and it doesn't go off, and then the original unit moves again, do they test again?
Yes. because that is the next unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a little clarification, I think buildings come down on 10, bunkers come down on 12.
Thank you.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, it depends on the kind of building as well.
Yeah. Just regular buildings are a little easier to destroy even.
So if you're a partisan and you have buildings on the table, make sure you talk with your opponent about what those values are going to be on the buildings.
Yep. Yeah. If you're putting your objectives inside of buildings, which
You put your bombs next to it.
your bombs. Yeah, those could be nasty. Let's talk about some of the key units then. So, I don't even know where you want to start with these. I have some favorites. I think they have some cool stuff, and I think one of the biggest things I see about that army that nobody else has is that you're able to get 20-man squads. Outside of the Japanese, I don't think anyone else really gets.
Poland
Poland can get to 20.
Poland gets 20.
Poland can get to 20.
Okay.
Japanese is typically 15.
Oh, it is 15. Okay.
Yep.
A spearman 15.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
75 points, 15 guys with spears. Jesus.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. They just give bajillions of dudes. That's just it doesn't matter if there's 15 or 20, because they're still fanatic too. So anyway, but we're not talking about Japanese. We're talking about these guys,
All of their infantry squads can go up to 20 in the partisan.
which is insane to me. So you can get. They don't have very many choices, as far as I can tell. So you have
No,
early, late war options. They have an inexperienced partisan squad, guerrilla fighters, and then a partisan cavalry squad, which I think all those are okay choices.
Cavalry's sweet.
Cavalry can be sweet.
Because they're not Romanian cavalry. They can charge.
Yeah, they can actually charge into combat.
Right.
The cavalry not being infantry. Well, I mean they're infantry, but they cannot go up to 20. They can only go up to 10.
Yes, because they got horses, so they count as 10 too, right? Is that how it works?
You're not going to get any veteran officers.
Nope.
Nope.
You get veteran. You can get a 20-man veteran squad though if you really want to pay the points for it, because that's a
Yeah, the guerrilla squads are the veterans.
260 points naked, but you get 20 dudes. And they got
Somehow
clothes
you
on.
get an Arab server.
Well,
So.
well, hang
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
I mean, so they can get 20 guys. Do we think that's a good idea to take 20-man infantry units?
Not often.
I was
Well,
just saying.
that's the only way you can get the reroll and the full
The
strength
morale
squad.
test, yeah.
That's-
So
If
take
you
a morale
the
test.
full strength rule. That's right, yeah.
So you're not going to be
That's
using
rough.
that rule very often. I agree.
What's a 20-man inexperienced with pistols? 80
Uh,
points?
give me a second. I think it is 80 points.
4
70
points it is.
minus. Yeah, so that would be so minus 30. So it'd be 40 points for 10 dudes. So it would be 80 points for 20 dudes.
So what do you think of 20 dudes with pistols sitting on an objective for 80 points?
Tough
I
fighter.
think that's terrible.
That's terrible.
That's terrible.
In a like you don't like it, or that it's nasty.
I don't like it.
Okay.
Inexperienced troops are so easy to kill.
Yeah, but there's 20 of them.
Yeah, but you just have to lose
the
by
mortar-
one.
The mortars are going to clean up on that. Once it locks in, you're never going to be able to move them far enough to clear it.
Well,
It's 20 guys.
part of that is that you put them in hard cover, so it has to be the mortar shooting at them. And then the consideration is he's using a 60-point mortar to shoot an 80-point unit of dudes. What's the rest of your army doing?
Yeah.
Well, it's an 80-point unit of dudes that are in hard cover on an objective, which definitely makes it worthwhile. And so,
And they got pistols. So
and
they're
if it's
gonna take
20
twice as much
guys,
charging.
your template is going to hit a ton of them. It's going to do a ton of damage.
And if you go down, it's half that.
Okay, so that is the optimal situation in which that unit is potentially worthwhile.
I'm going to slightly disagree, but let's finish this thought first.
Yeah.
And so, in the best case scenario, it is just 80 points, but 20 guys is really hard to fit onto the board as a single unit.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And you're right about that footprint.
It becomes super unwieldy, and to have a 20-man unit in hardcover, that's got to be a big piece of hardcover. So,
Sure.
No, you only have to have 11 of them in there.
Yeah, you only have to fit half of them in there to get it.
So
for
in order to get 11 guys in hard cover, they're going to have to be right next to each other, which means any template that hits them
it's going to
completely
hit them all.
obliterates
Yeah,
the unit.
yeah.
Does a lot of. Is it really that different than if you had 5 guys in there who are veterans taking a mortar shot? Not really.
They die in threes.
You know.
Yeah, but
Well,
you
yeah,
have
to the medium mortar.
you still have
Regular
4 times
die-
as many of them.
Regular and inexperienced die to the medium mortar the exact same. That's
Right.
on twos.
Okay, that's fair. But it's much easier to move the veterans, to get them into position, to get them out of position if they need to. They're actually going to. I think they're actually going to be more survivable personally.
Okay.
Because they're going to be harder to kill. They're going to be farther spaced out. So you're hitting 3 guys instead of half of the unit. They're going to stick around more often because they're not inexperienced. They're veterans. Mm-hmm. They're actually going to be more reliable to hit and put pins on people because they don't suffer the -1.
Yep.
And so it's just and again, I think my biggest beef with these is how position where it's favorable for them.
The other thing, and because
Sure.
you may be able to do that with 20 guys strung out, you may get the chance because you'll be close enough to charge somebody. In which case, if you're going first with 20 guys who have tough fighter,
Even if they're inexperienced, they're still
doesn't
going to
matter.
be
They don't
nasty.
get a penalty
Yeah.
on
Yep.
melee combat.
Right,
Right.
but they're not going to die in droves back at them, right? Like,
Well, hopefully you wipe the unit before you have
Yes.
to worry about
Yeah,
dying
that's
in
like-
droves back.
yeah.
You don't want it simultaneous, so they'll be in
No.
the open.
Right.
Yep.
No,
You
you
need
want to
to-
be charging
yeah.
somebody in the open.
Yeah, they
Yep.
will. Yeah, with tough fighter, even it doesn't matter. They're going to be killing them on whatever veterancy level they are. Yeah, I could see that. It's, I mean,
And again, it's only 80 points.
I played against Matt, and he was running Partisans, and I think he had 3 20-man units,
Yep.
and they were terrible.
Well,
So,
to be fair, were you playing your Soviets then too?
I think I might have been playing my Soviets.
Yeah. So the other side effect of like a multi-launcher against 20-man squads is pretty freaking brutal.
It wasn't the multi-launcher,
Okay.
honestly. He just wasn't able to get them into. They were so big, and we had quite a bit of terrain. It was just so he really struggled with getting them into an effective position where they could do something. Because
Sure.
what I ended up doing was just putting a pin or 2 on each of the units, and he would fail one of those order tests or something. And because they're so big, he didn't have enough leadership around to kind of. They couldn't get out of their own way, especially with their low morale.
I was just say I'm not. This is no way speaking ill of Matt, but he
Right.
was a relatively inexperienced player himself too.
Yes, yes,
which
of
doesn't
course.
help things. And I will say, having a 20-man squad of inexperienced dudes is probably not like beginner level type shit, right? Like,
Right.
you got to plan this out. Like Jeff is saying, like if you're going to try and get a charge off with them, you need to be thinking about all that stuff.
And there's likely ways that you can actually help that along.
Yep.
So
Well, I mean, the other side effect is it doesn't have to be an inexperienced squad. If you want to take regulars, those guys are expensive now. You could bring them that strong if you wanted to.
You could do 20 vets with pistols for 200 points.
That's scary in itself too, actually.
all right. Well, I guess depending upon your meta, if you don't have a lot of template weapons that you're going against,
Yep.
then I think larger squads will be fine.
Yep.
But even if there's half a chance where you're going to be facing 2 or, God forbid, more than that,
Yeah, my
a
Romanians would eat
20-man
you.
unit is really, really difficult to spread out effectively.
Yep.
I think the other problem we're having here is this is not a centerpiece unit. Like,
No.
this isn't your army strategy with these guys. This is
Right,
an
you're not
80
running-
point- This is an 80-point unit. This is a distraction and goes
Well,
to an
I
objective,
mean,
You're not running 5
that's fair.
apiece.
right? I've got 910 other points on the table doing something.
Yeah,
920 other points
theoretically.
doing something.
Okay.
Well, maybe
Right.
I'll rewrite my
So
list
if
then.
all
real
these
quick. Hold
guys
on.
do is move up to the objective, like I use my field craft to run them near the objective and they can get into hard cover,
Mm-hmm.
and they take a down order the rest of the game, that's a win to me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an easy points right there.
The distraction is thinking they have to go do something, and they don't.
That's not their primary objective, right? Their
It's not their
objective is to
objective at all.
land on objectives.
And if it soaks up your mortar, one of your mortars is firing at them all game. That's great to me. That's wonderful. Please keep doing that because you're not killing my other 920 points that are what I'm actually going to do something with.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Again, it's not a centerpiece. This isn't going to be like, haha, here's what you've activated my trump card here. That's not how
think
it
what the Soviets have that is in the same ballpark here, and that's the Strafbat, which are like 27 points for 12 guys.
Yeah.
And only 5 of them have rifles. They're not. They're the molasses that's just going to slow you down to what you're trying to do.
Yep.
You can do this almost as effectively.
Right. I think that a 20-man unit, no matter what they are, is not a beginner unit.
No, for sure not. Not
this
at
is
all.
very much, in my opinion, a trap unit. Super difficult to use, very easy to use poorly, and so I would just caution anyone who's interested. I think it's a cool idea. I really do. I love big units, but
Yeah, baby.
I knew it was going to come out eventually.
And I'm probably suffering from the fact that I would not be any good with using a unit like this. So I might not be the best person.
Well, let's.
I think you just have to get in 25 games with it, right, Till?
Right? Yeah, that'll help.
Well, I mean,
let's just go through
an interesting challenge. This would be an interesting challenge. Find a way to use a huge unit effectively.
Sure.
So
That was add that to the checklist.
No.
All right. So let's go through the rest of the stuff. There's not a lot more to go through here. They have flamethrowers. They have a machine gun. They have medium and light mortars. Cannot get a heavy mortar.
Oh, wait, hang on. You're skipping the fact that they have a Piat.
Yeah, well, I was getting there. I was getting to get to the anti-tank teams, right? So they not only do they have a Piat, but they can take a rifle, they can take a Piat, and they can take a bazooka.
Yep.
So they have a choice of all three of them. So it's
regular and experienced. They got no veteran C on there, but they do have veteran snipers.
Yep, which is nice to have veteran snipers available to you. Light and medium artillery, light only.
Light artillery.
Just light artillery.
Light artillery. So you can light artillery, so light howitzer, anti-tank, or anti-aircraft, so an autocannon, right? That's just an autocannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a single light autocannon. And then they just have a general purpose truck, car, and a field car. How many does the field car hold? 6. Okay.
6.
So nothing super
civilian
special.
car holds 4.
Okay, yeah. I was looking at the trucks holds 12. So no clown cars here.
Well, no, they can put an MMG on their trucks, so that's not bad.
Yep. Which is nice. Normal price for all that stuff as far as that goes.
Yeah, they got 4-door sedan for
That Honda Civic.
right.
No wait.
VW Beetle, baby.
Yeah, it's probably more along the lines of a Beetle. Okay, so the list itself on paper, like all of the extra stuff aside, the only thing that really stands out and makes them special is that a lot of their units can be incredibly big. That being said, that to Dale's point, you maybe won't do that. But that's up to your playstyle.
Can I slightly disagree with that?
Sure.
I'm going to slightly disagree. And what makes these guys interesting and good isn't just that they can be big units; is that they don't have any downside.
Yeah, good point.
They're not Italians.
Well, their special rules don't hinder them in any way, and they're
right.
Just without their special rules, the list is very just vanilla platoon. It's like the Norwegians, but their rules are good.
Right.
Like, so there's something to be. Yeah, I agree. That is a good point.
Yeah.
Other than possibly the machine gun, and in my opinion, the size of the squads, there aren't any trap choices.
Right.
Right.
There aren't any poor choices you can make because you can't take a tank, and you might.
Oh, but we can take a tank. You can take a tank, actually.
I mean, you can't take there's some choices where you might want to tank, but you don't have the option. So
let's talk about that because that is actually something they can get.
One more caveat on the infantry is that the Partisans late war, they can be all SMGs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's some Panzerfaust options.
You can put a Panzerfaust in each of the squads.
Not the guerrillas though.
Not the guerrillas.
Which are the veterans.
Ooh, I might actually change my list a little bit.
And it's the 5-point Panzerfaust. So.
Yep.
Yep, it's the
good one.
cheaper. It is the cheaper version. Yes, it is, and it's been corrected on
Well,
Easy
they
Army too.
got, in fact, they're all 5 points.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
just,
but it's the good one.
it's
Does that mean it works all the time?
yes.
It just means it's not stupid expensive. It's not a Piat.
It's not a Piat. That thing that nobody wants to.
Torpedo, man,
Yeah.
this thing sucks so bad.
The other thing I like is that, look at this. This list is super flexible for how you want to build an army, right? You've got the inexperienced, you've got the regulars, you've got the veterans. You have access to Panzerfaust. Man-portable anti-tank is one of the best things you can possibly take in this game because it's so effective for its cost. Right? You've got access to regular partisan cavalry if you want to make an all-horse force.
Yeah,
knock
the horse
yourself
force.
out, you can do that, right? And they don't suck. They're not Romanian cavalry.
Right.
And it's all in. And your anti-tank options. You can take the anti-tank rifle if you want something cheap, a door knocker. You can take the Piat if you want to prove Pat wrong.
Uh-huh.
You have access to the bazooka, which is one of the best all-around anti-tank weapons in the game.
You can mechanize everything too,
Yep.
and you don't have the -1 from coming in. So.
Right. You can take cheap transports. It's great. This list is super flexible. You can do so many things with it.
And we mentioned that the rules are flexible enough too.
Yep.
So because you can be reactionary with them and you can be aggressive with them.
Right. So if you draw the short stick on being, if you have to be a defender in a scenario you didn't want to be, you're going to be okay because you can be hidden in ambush. And if you have to be the attacker, that first turn you can run through the heavy obstacles and stuff. That's also awesome. So
Yeah.
this list is very flexible. I think it's a very strong suit. And honestly, I think its lack of models is why more people don't play it.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. That might be a part of the reason why we discuss this as of now. But let's talk about the tank selection because they do technically have tanks available to them. They can take anything. Correct me if I'm wrong. They can't be. I'm trying to remember. It comes in as inexperienced, or no, it just comes in as unreliable. Correct.
Any vehicle, they can have any vehicle up to and including a 9+. So
9+. I couldn't remember how high it was.
Yeah. Anything you take has to be inexperienced, and anything that's armored, so 7+, is also unreliable.
Yeah.
Which means it takes extra pins.
So, at first we kind of dismissed this. You didn't, Jeff. You hit it right on the head. There are very few options that you would really want to do this with.
Yep.
Primarily because you're inexperienced and you're going to take some pins potentially.
Yep.
And you're going to take lots of pins if you're taking a pin.
Yeah. You don't want to be shot at if you can help it.
No, you're trying to avoid it at all costs. So the one option that I agree wholeheartedly with, and I put it in my list actually, was the the Panzerwerfer.
Yes.
Because who doesn't like a multi-launcher on a 7+ closed top gun platform?
So damn good.
Right?
That can move and fire, and the launcher is a 360, so you can drive any direction you want
Right.
to.
So ultimately, at the end of the day, hopefully it's not going to get into a position where it's going to get shot at a whole bunch.
Right.
Especially since it's not open top, so the only thing you shoot is HE. And it is a multi-launcher. Sure.
Yeah.
All for a lovely 96 points.
Yeah, everything about it's awesome.
Yeah. And hell, if you lose 96 points, you lose 96 points. It's not the end of the world. I've yet to find another thing that I would take with this list. I don't know if anyone else had anything when they built the list with it.
No, the only other idea, I did not put this in my list, but I was scrounging for something else he might take.
Right.
And hilariously, since it's German, I believe it's German or Italian, if I remember right. Yeah. Hilariously, I was thinking about taking that AA truck with the super heavy anti-tank gun on it.
That's Italian.
Yeah.
It's Italian. So you're getting -1 to hit, but you also have a super heavy anti-tank gun available on a Partisan's list.
Which is pretty
and
sweet.
You can start it and hit in an ambush.
Good call, actually. Ooh. Does infantry only get the move through terrain?
Pretty sure, but let me
I was going to say, I don't
double-check.
think wheeled vehicles would get that. That would be kind of insane.
That'd be really bad.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the tank selector itself.
Infantry, yeah.
If you want to take something else, you can. It's just keep in mind it has to be inexperienced and it has to be and it gets unreliable, which means that
armored, it's unreliable.
Yeah, so if it's 7+, it's unreliable.
You could take that AA truck with just the standard, autocannon on the back too. In which case, it's only 50 points for an autocannon.
You could take the German quad cannon.
Yes, you could take the German quad cannon
without the armored cab, and you would be in a position.
The armored cab.
Yeah.
You're still -1 to hit, but good lord, you're throwing ammo down range.
Yeah.
So those would need line of sight.
Yep.
Yes.
And are those light skinned? Is that light skinned?
Yeah, it would be a 6+ on. Yeah, it would be a light.
Yep.
So right, which means then your small arms fire can put pins on.
Yep, correct.
Absolutely.
Yep. So it's not the same.
You're back of the board, so you can outrange the small arms fire, but
theoretically, yes.
Yeah, and for 50 points, you probably don't like. I mean, the beauty of the
quad one is not
50. The Panzerwerfer's hands down the best choice here.
Right, because it's a multi-launcher, so you need 6s anyways.
Exactly.
Right.
You suffer the inexperienced. So.
You don't care about the inexperienced, and hopefully you're not taking pins.
Him in case he gets any
you
pins.
just need to babysit it, which might mitigate the usage of other inexperienced troops in the list. But you're right. That's a great. Yeah, that's a great tank choice. I don't have a tank in my list. So
I don't have a tank in my list either.
I have that tank in my list because why would I not have that tank in my list? All right, so let's. So one of the reasons why we weren't seeing a lot of Partisans, I have the sneaking suspicion, is because there weren't a lot of models for it. Mm-hmm. I think Warlord had one unit, kind of. Did they even have a unit before recently?
Yeah, well, kind of. You could take. There was some mix of crap.
Is that you can really model and paint them however you really want to. Civilian stuff,
Yep, you could. And I remember when our friend Matt started, and I started digging through some of that stuff, and I was quite honestly underwhelmed. The biggest problem was like, okay, I could find some guys from here, and I could find some guys from another site. But then you start trying to mix and match them, and you're like, these guys don't all look the same. It's like you're getting a very ununiform, even like just the difference between sculptors. Size. Yeah, just sculptors were not the same. It was just it could be a problem.
The problem I found, and I'll fess up to this, is that you could find lots of cool armed civilian models around there, but you were paying a hell of a premium because they're all metal and they're like $4 or $5 a model, and it's like.
Then there's some weird boutique European company like. Right. In Romania or wherever, who the hell knows where they were, but yeah, exactly. They would all be. Yeah, I agree. I remember doing that too, where I could find a couple models here and there, but it was not.
Right. I mean, we're trying to get away from GW prices.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and you're not getting the GW quality. No offense to anyone that makes Partisan models, but you're paying for a small.
You're paying a boutique price.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Or you used to trying to find Partisan models.
Yeah, so
right. It's kind of like I'm happy I'm helping you send your kid to college, but I'd like to send my kid to college.
Right. Well, that's GW for you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so a couple things have happened. I think Warlord announced a new Partisan squad, which are fabulous looking.
Yeah, they look great, don't they?
And I think they even gave them the Warlord has a Partisan support unit now, or support box. So I think that gives you an LT, and it gives you a couple other things. I can't remember which things are actually in that box. Not off the top of my head.
You're not on the website?
No, I'm actually on Easy Army right now. And Frontline Games, and our website on Facebook.
So they've got. They've got a bunch now. They've got the Partisan squad. They got Soviet Partisan squads. They've even got a force builder for them, by the way.
Yep, you can build
light machine guns. Thank God. Piat anti-tank rifle teams, because you need those. Snipers, light mortars. MMG team. Good deal there.
I was worried we weren't having one of them.
Right.
Yeah, right.
They've got officer teams.
Okay, so they got
lots of stuff. That support one has, I'm guessing, machine gun, a mortar, and an officer.
Yeah, so it makes it not viable.
That's usually what that support mix is.
Unfortunately, to take the machine gun out and put something useful in there.
Controversial opinion, the machine gun's not quite as terrible on a Partisan list, purely because it can start hidden and in ambush.
Yeah, fair, good point actually, but
so it's only bad. It's not terrible.
Also, I mean, you combine that with the bombs, which are area control, which the machine gun kind of lends itself into. Yep. So I mean,
so if you're playing multiple if you're playing multiple platoons, you might be able to have a couple. And I think, God, I feel like we're walking back all of our machine gun hate as of late. Well, we're not really,
No.
but if you can have multiples for cheap, that's not such a bad option myself either. My personal opinion is, but
so the support has looks like some HQ, medium mortar, and medium machine gun.
Yeah, bummer. You can buy those independently still, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so Warlord made some models. I found another one. I don't know where I found it. I think somebody posted on Facebook. Mid-Atlantic.
Before we go too far down, I just want to make sure we mention that another good anti-tank is, in fact, the Partisan bombs, because no one's going to chance their tank piece near a Partisan bomb.
Yep.
So
it is a good way of anti-armor, sure.
Yep.
So anyway, Mid-Atlantic is releasing a new
War Game Atlantic.
War Game Atlantic. Sorry, it says Mid-Atlantic. I think I keep calling it Mid-Atlantic, but it is War Atlantic. War Game Atlantic? Is that what it is?
Atlantic.
War Atlantic.
War Game Atlantic.
War Game Atlantic. There we go. I will not get it right.
We'll get there. We can do it.
Someday we will get there.
Back in there again?
It's not just foreign languages we screw up everybody.
No, right? So I don't know where these guys are based, but they do have a U.S. presence, so you can get it from the United States, which I think is fantastic. These guys are doing it right, as far as I can tell, because they have presence in Europe. They have it here. Did I say Australia? I feel like they might even have an Australian presence, which is really fantastic that they've figured out how to do it in all the countries. And I think it's something crazy like 36 dudes for $35 or something like that.
Damn.
And they look
32 for 35.
32 for 35.
Yep.
What?
You can buy 3 boxes, so you can get like the 96 for 95.
Yeah, which is an incredibly good deal for plastic miniatures that look good. I looked at them and I'm like, damn, these guys look as good as Warlord models in my opinion. And the added bonus is they give you a shit ton of pistols. So you have the option of making pistols on all your units. That was one of the other things that I hated about the medals. It was like, oh, I want pistol squads. Oh, I can't have pistol squads because you get...
two guys.
You buy a 10 pack and you get 2 dudes that have pistols. So you're never going to get enough guys in quantity without buying a bunch of extra guys. So...
These are brand new, too, shipping this month.
Yeah, so they're actually delayed. I just read through their blog a little bit like earlier today that they are delayed until sometime in February because they're getting shipping backed up everywhere. It's not just them.
Everything coming out of China is
right.
Way behind.
Everything's way behind everywhere. So they're on a boat somewhere. I think they're in port in not in Minnesota, in New York. But they haven't been off-boated yet, apparently, so they're just waiting.
Customs is about 6 weeks behind right now.
Yeah, so it's
a bunch of shit coming in.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. So so it says January on their website. It's not going to be January. They said it's probably going to be February, if not later. But
bases are not included with these guys either.
They got like kind of built-in bases on them, but yeah, you definitely would need bases.
I never used the supplied bases anyway.
With plastic guys, I'd rather make my own bases.
Mm-hmm. And actually, that actually works very well with what kind of bases they have. Like the feet are already pre-molded to a little plastic piece, kind of, if that makes sense. Kind of like
I just ordered some.
Did you?
Yeah.
How many boxes did you order?
The Mantic.
God, I'm kind of tempted. Actually.
We should have talked. We should have talked and ordered 10 boxes.
Did you get 3 box?
No, you get a 10 box for a lot less. Even you get a 10 box option.
Oh, you already ordered? Damn, we could have went 2.5 boxes in each.
320 guys for $265. There you go.
It's so cheap, so cheap. So, they're by far my favorite right now. I haven't got them in hand yet, so I can't. It's hard to review them, but
that's kind of why I wanted to get some.
Yeah. So we'll definitely talk about it when we get them, or when Jeff gets them.
These look like contrast paints would go really nicely on them.
Yeah. I think the models that they showed, I think, may have been contrast painted. And then Infamous Miniatures is another one that I think has come up a lot with Partisans.
In the realms of, I don't want to say bad news, but unfortunate news, I think JT's suspended his operations.
Oh, was that him? Yeah, he did. I just recently read that he it sounds like he may come back at some point, but right now he is not. I think he's just burned
like every
out.
other small business person, everybody's struggling right now. So
and I think he's just burnt out doing it by himself. So,
Yeah. Well, it's a ton of work.
yeah, for sure, it's a ton of work. So, sad on that note, but his models were really good. His paint jobs were incredible.
Yeah, his models are fantastic. His paint jobs are
Oh,
fantastic.
no, actually,
That's
no.
like-
I recall now that actually he's not a one-man shop. Now that I think about it, he might be a one-man shop, but he outsources the molding, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So
he
he
designs
gets stuff.
them, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, it's just
When he kicks back up again, we'll have to make sure we
Yeah,
mention it,
but
so.
because the models are totally worth it, and I don't think they're that expensive. That they're not quite boutique level. So,
But for the quality, I mean, the quality is just so good.
yep. So
His stuff is just so good.
yeah. No, I'd argue some of that is his painting. So
Well, yeah, I mean, a good paint job can do stuff, but if you've got a slore face, no amount of painting's going to save it.
that is a fair assessment. Okay. On that note, I mean, there are millions of other ones out there. I know there's a bunch of like civilian models. You can get them. The thing that I always got hung up on was, again, I couldn't find. So many people make like mobster models, and I don't think that works for me. Like, dude, they're running around with a, what the hell's the can gun? The
Tommy gun.
The Tommy gun. There we go. Yeah, and you're just like that. That doesn't fit what I would expect. A partisan army to look like.
Right. It's not Gigs of New York circa 1920.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, if you find more models that work for you, go for it. There's nothing wrong with any of them.
Right.
But some of those other options, Warlords picked up their partisan stuff a lot. So
They look good.
yeah, because they're French resistance, right?
Yep.
Is that what they call
Yeah.
them? Is the French resistance?
Yeah, French resistance guys.
Yeah,
They're
they've also
really
got
good.
Soviet.
Oh, that's right. And they have Soviet resistance too now. So you could mix and match them together. I think would actually work just fine because they don't have to be French and they don't have to be Soviets. They do
Right.
look like just peasant farmer
They
types
look
and
like
stuff.
European civilians.
Yep. Yeah. So
Yeah, and you're also not having to, paint 40 guys that look the same if that's the thing that drives you nuts.
that actually is a big selling point to me is that you can do whatever you want with whatever clothing they have
You
on.
don't have to write down how you painted everyone because they
Nope.
can all be individuals.
Yeah, you might still want to write
You
down your
could,
skin tones. Just
You
saying.
could also probably include some female miniatures too.
For sure,
Yeah,
some of them.
absolutely,
There's
yeah.
a lot of
So-
females in the partisan list.
Yeah.
Some of the most, I think, one of the most famous partisan leaders is female, actually.
French resistance, there's definitely some.
Yeah, so I was going to say, I can't remember her name now off the top of my head, but I was reading about one of them. Somebody made a model for one of the female, I think one of the leading French resistance was a woman. I can't remember her name.
Blanking at the moment too. But yeah.
Something Mouse? Was it Something Mouse? Was it her nickname? The White Mouse? Something like that.
I could swear something came across my Facebook feed last week about her. So
Yeah, I can't remember if that was her name or not, but I do recall that might have been where I saw it too. It's amazing how Facebook tells you things when you're searching for other things. Kind of creepy, right?
Sure.
All right, so
they've got a good algorithm over there.
yeah, it might have me figured out. It's nothing but like 3D printers, guitars, and miniatures at this point. It's just constant.
Wow, you and I have the same.
Right?
place.
And it's like they're getting better and better because I'm like, shit, I might buy that guitar. Like they're
Well, I
like
wish
they're
they'd
figuring
stop
it out.
Showing me the guitar I already bought.
Yeah, maybe your algorithm isn't quite as good as mine. I don't know.
If you bought one, you're into collecting them. So here's another.
That's not untrue for guitar players typically. They're
I
like
think
miniatures.
The average is 6.
6? Oh shit, I'm under the
You
average. I
don't
better get on
typically
that.
collect the same guitar, though, don't you?
No, you branch out and get a different
Yeah,
one.
I was going to say
Yeah.
you
One
get
of those
different
heavy
kind
metal
of.
guys that smashes his guitar at every concert. In which case, you probably want a bunch of the same one.
I heard that Cake song too. Sorry. Bad reference that nobody else is going to get. All right. Anyway, so let's talk about. We kind of already mentioned it. Some of the ranges of countries that would play as a partisan list, right? So I'm guessing that's what you're suggesting by this, Pat. Is like who. So we've already mentioned like obviously the French were occupied very early. They make a great resistance force.
So I just want to put a caveat in here. I thought it was interesting reading the partisan section of this book again, as they specifically say these lists are geared towards Polish, Yugoslavian, and Russian resistance
Interesting.
ranges, and not to belittle the French resistance, they say, but this isn't specifically made to mimic the French resistance organization, which I just think is interesting because, it's, especially here in the States, when someone says partisans, we immediately think of the French resistance before
Yeah.
anything else.
Our
Yeah.
episode 11 title would even say that.
Right.
So, whereas arguably the Polish home army, had a much bigger partisan impact
On this book, at least.
Yeah. Well, and in the war.
And in the war. Okay. Interesting.
Arguably.
Yeah.
There's a lot of French resistance people.
Wasn't Tito? Wasn't he like
Yugoslavian?
Yeah, and he's like the big main guy that everyone like equates worldwide thinks of. When partisans, you talk about, oh, it's Tito's army.
Yep.
Yeah. It's fair.
They were onto something there. Yeah. It's just interesting.
They were a large army too. What, almost 1 million?
Yeah. Huge.
Oh, yes, I suppose.
800,000 or something like that. So.
Okay. Not tiny.
Just that caveat in there. But yeah. But as I was saying, how flexible this list is, though. Man, you could do just about anybody with this.
It really comes down to the models you can find, right? Or how you paint your models for that matter. Because, it probably fit almost any European range, right? Soviets or otherwise. You're not going to be. Obviously, the scale isn't so far you're going to be able to tell the races
Japanese
apart.
Or Chinese partisans.
Well, probably aren't very many of them
not
either.
With those models, but with this list, you sure could.
You could.
Okay.
I don't know that it fits, at least the Japanese. The Chinese, they were fighting each other for a while, but...
Well, and in that case, don't they already have their own partisan
They have
list?
3 different lists.
Yeah, they already have a partisan
Right.
list built into their
Right,
faction.
you have the nationalists
Yeah.
and then the
Communists
communists.
and the warlords.
Yeah.
So they kind of already have all of their inner fighting amongst them. But the Japanese,
the same way
did
that
have
you
some
wouldn't have an
resistance.
American partisan list because,
we weren't really. Yeah, I don't think we were fighting
the
there.
Japanese weren't either. So
Yeah.
Funny story about that. When we get to our list.
Okay. Because I was going to say, I feel like there were Japanese people that were trying to resist the Japanese army. But anyway, okay.
Well, maybe. I guess I'm not aware of that. So
Right. So
All right.
the world is your oyster when it comes to this list. That's what we're kind of getting at. Is you can make it whatever you want. Obviously, anytime a country was occupied by another country,
There's some
partisan
people who
list.
disagreed with that.
What's that?
There's some people who disagreed with that.
Yeah, with being occupied for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, that seems to work just fine for any of these.
Yep.
All right. So one of the challenges we came up with during this was that we were going to make lists to give you some ideas of different ways of doing this list. I have a sneaking suspicion that we all came up with different lists in different ways. I will tell you right now, mine's probably not as competitive given what we've already discussed. But what I started my army list off of was the Wargaming Atlantic box set. Was basically my premise was like, what can I use out of a box to make my list? And I think I ended up needing 3 boxes, which is fine because it's a relatively inexpensive cost still. It's only about $100. So I'll go through my list really quick. I'm going to start by saying it's a 20 order dice list. So
At 1,000 points?
at 1,000 points. I actually have 7 points to spare right now. I haven't figured out what to do with them
dual
yet.
platoon.
Dual platoon.
Okay.
Yep. So it's interesting, but 20 dice is not an insignificant thing. So I have 2.
No, that's not. That's a huge number.
Yeah. So I have 2 regular lieutenants, no extra dudes. I have 4 10-man inexperienced squads with pistols. So 4 10-man squads. I also have 2 regular partisan squads with SMGs, so 2 10-man squads with SMGs. Mm-hmm. I have 4 5-man inexperienced squads with pistols. Those are kind of just chaffy, like they're basically giving me order dice at this point. But they're also
That's a term we haven't thrown around in a while.
chaff. Yeah. It's essentially what they are, but they're also like what I'm expecting to have happen is okay. So if someone's going to hit my inexperienced squads with something, and I have a 5-man squad, they're basically going to do the objective holding after the fact, right? So I'm just kind of splitting up my 20-man squads into smaller squads for footprint purposes, but also to allow, if one unit gets pinned, they're not going to be able to pin 20 units, right? This is kind of my theory on it.
It's a redundancy.
It's a thought.
Yeah, it's a thought. This is what I'm thinking. This is a theory. So I have 2 inexperienced mortars, medium mortars, 2 regular snipers, anti-tank rifle team, 2 light artillery, Panzerwerfer, And I think that's it. That seems like not that much, but that is it. That's a lot of stuff.
Okay.
So it ends up being 50-some dudes with pistols, 17 dudes with SMGs, and a bunch of other stuff. A bunch of pie plates and some fun stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 60 dudes with pistols. Because I'm not counting the NCOs. So there you go. There's my list. But that's basically like how can I finagle the box to maximize the number of miniatures to either be SMGs or pistols. There's no long-range shit in my list. That's the biggest flag I see right now off the top of my head.
Well, you have 2 mortars, a sniper.
2 light artillery as well.
2 light artillery.
2 snipers. 2 snipers.
So you do have some long range, but it's
pretty light.
It is pretty light. That is one of the things I
noticed.
noticed.
Do you have snipers in there too?
2 snipers.
2 snipers. What?
2 regular
level?
snipers.
2 regular snipers. I could make them vet, but I was like, everything else in here is regular and experienced. I felt kind of cheesy, and I was like, where else can I put the points?
Okay.
So I could make them veteran and drop some of those 5-man squads, because I honestly don't know what I think about the 5-man squads, but I just was like, let's play around with this idea.
So do you feel like this list takes into account the special rules, and how does it do that? If you do think it does, how would you take advantage of the special rules with your list?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know if I thought that far into it.
Okay, that's totally
thought
fine.
the collective and the modeling first.
Yeah, I was mostly going for like how could I make this fun to play.
Okay.
But
and
it's
I'm
definitely
not
competitive.
I'm not trying to. I was just trying to.
I mean, I think
try to
there's
understand your approach. And
Yeah.
If you had thought about it, because I'm trying to think about how you might take advantage of the rules with your list.
I mean, honestly, what I probably would end up using the bombs for in this list is basically is supporting, giving me that long range support for a little bit longer, right? So you're just basically, I'm going to try and jam up where I want you to be jammed up. Is essentially what I would be doing. I don't want you to move through this area, or I do, funnel either I'm funneling you in, or I'm trying to oppose you from going into an area with them.
Okay.
And I think that the Fieldcraft gives me some benefit for the inexperienced squads, or even the SMG squads, to get them up farther faster.
Yeah.
This really ultimately my goal is to be kind of aggressive, but this is just an objective play. Essentially, is what I'm looking at for this list.
All right.
So that's mine. I know mine's probably the least competitive of our group, so I went first.
Okay, well, mine would be the second least competitive, so I'll go next.
There you go. That seems great. That seems like a great idea.
All right, so I also had 1,000 points, dual platoon, only 16 order dice.
Only,
I know, right?
only, yeah.
Only.
With 2 infantry models, so it's a little 3-man squad. Because I like little 3-man squads with SMGs because they can kind of surprise you sometimes, so that's a fun little unit. Then I've got 2 10-man units of veterans with SMGs. Because they're super hard to shift and they can really put out a lot of hurt. I've run Soviet scout squads, and because of their field craft, these can effectively be scouts after the first turn, depending upon if it's not a first wave scenario or anything like that. Which means they give you a lot of area control, and it could just be a huge pain in the ass, especially if they're close to each other, because then they have mutual support going back and forth. I've got 3 10-man units of regulars with Panzerfausts, added in a flamethrower team, a veteran sniper, a medium mortar, with a spotter, because I like to have that extra ambush, or not ambush, but extra infiltrating deployment.
Okay.
And then I picked up a bazooka as well, so another small team with a little longer range anti-tank just in case. So, for example, if a truck rolls up on the side, I can blow it up in the 12-man submachine gun team with it, and then the light howitzer. So, just a combined arms approach. Only 11 order dice in this, and
some beefy units.
I do have beefy units, and the bombs themselves actually play a huge role in this because they'll be in overlapping lanes, effectively shutting down probably 25% of the board, maybe even more than that, which just funnels everything into my veteran submachine gun units on a third of the board, and then 3 10-man units with mutual support. So it's kind of just this would kind of be an all-comer single platoon army list that I would run with typically. The bombs are super important, and the fact that the reactionary or aggressive play style that the unit allows, or that the special rules allow you to do, actually makes this a really flexible list that can do a lot of things. That's why my list doesn't include anything.
Oh, you got to play to your strengths, that's for sure.
I like having my units in place, and I like the army rules because they're flexible and allow me to change my plan mid. So that was my approach to the list.
And I think a lot of people forget too, Dale, to your point about transports, is like you don't need a transport to flank. Like you can put a unit in outflank without a transport. You don't need it, and they will keep moving up just like they were in a truck. You just don't need the truck. Why people do it though is it gets them in that much further into the board. But if you're funneling towards a corner anyway, it may not be the worst idea if you're going to try and pick a corner or pick a side versus the middle. Right? I don't know. Just something to think about.
Yeah, and that's because they only have a 12-inch range. I really feel like I'm not taking enough advantage of their capability, because basically then they become a one-turn unit.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not suggesting that you necessarily do that with your SMGs. Right. I'm just playing off the idea of what you're talking about with transports, because sometimes people get hung up on the idea they need a transport to outflank with. They don't
that's
need
a fair point. I like transports because they're not terribly expensive. They can be useful after they drop off their cargo. But I like that the transports kind of give that aggressive unit an extra turn.
Yeah.
Effectively, in my opinion.
That's fair.
They move them in faster. It's an extra 12 inches movement.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting it's not extra movement.
Technically, it's an extra 6 inches of movement because they get 12 instead of 6 in the advance.
Yep.
And so, I mean, for me, this would be like a first try list, but I feel like there would probably be some tweaks after about 5 or 6 games to this list. So.
I think my list would have some tweaks after the first game.
So I'm excited to hear.
Dude, I would be doing things all sorts of different.
What direction Jeff went with his. So.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I'm going to fully admit to kind of cheating here. I made 2 lists because we weren't sure on one of the rules. So I'll go with my standard list first. And this is the one I'd use for European partisans. And it's 13 order dice only and 1,000 points. I know. We got a regular second lieutenant. I got 4 partisan late war squads with 10 men each. There's 1 Panzerfaust and 5 of them have SMGs. So 5 with.
So 5 long range, 5 short range. Okay.
Yep.
Like
5 shooting and 5 tough fighters.
Yeah, it's essentially, yeah.
I took a partisan cavalry squad of 10, and they all have submachine guns, because they can either drive by shooting, or they can ride up to an objective, get out, and be a pain in the ass to get out of there. Can
they shoot their SMGs off the back of a horse?
Yeah, they can't shoot their rifle off the back of a horse.
Oh my god.
I thought they fired as pistols. Don't they have carbines?
Rifles.
The carbines fire as pistols off the back.
SMGs.
Right, which then they can't fire horseback. They can only fire. They have carbines, which they can fire.
Double look. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, let's go look. I could be wrong.
Gotta keep going.
Sometimes I've been wrong.
Oh, let me look at the table of contents.
We'll keep going here. Flamethrower team, regular. Medium machine gun team, regular. Medium mortar team, regular with a spotter. Sniper team, veteran. Anti-tank bazooka team, regular. And then 2 inexperienced civilian cars to drive around the small teams if they need to.
So you got a maneuver?
I got a maneuver. Yep.
Nice.
Literally 2 VW Beetles they can cruise around in.
I actually like that. I think that's a good play. I like that. Plus, it's pretty thematic, The VW pulls up on the corner. Bazooka guy jumps out.
Right, and that's exactly what you use it for. Or the flamethrower guy jumps out.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So
that's kind of a one and done, but it could definitely unseat something that you're having a real thorn on your side. Good idea.
So unfortunately, Jeff, the only options
is only pistol or carbine mounted.
Yep, exactly.
Well, you know what? They're still tough fighters, and they can still dismount with those.
Yep.
It's not that expensive. It's movement.
Yep, it gives them the extra movement.
Yep, and it's recce, so I think I'd keep it just like that anyway.
It's essentially like bringing a truck without the MMG on it, right? You're still giving him a truck.
Your truck doesn't have recce, though, I don't think. So.
Yeah, no. These guys can ride up 9 places a truck can't go.
Right.
dismount, and spray the shit out of you with submachine gun fire.
Do cavalry count as infantry?
Yes.
Yes.
So they would get to use the fieldcraft rule as well.
So they could run through rough ground first turn.
Yep.
If they wanted to.
So they can move up to 18, then dismount, and they're basically most likely
Then
standing
they're
on an
infantry
objective.
with submachine guns, yeah.
Yep.
And I'm paying, 2 points per horse?
2 points.
Those are,
Totally
those are
worth
regular
it.
guys, right?
Those are regular guys, yeah. So that's 10 guys, 2 points per is 20 points. So I basically got a truck that can drive through rough ground for 20 points. I'll take that.
An all cav list, and this wouldn't be terrible either.
No, an all cavalist could be awesome
Oh my gosh, that's actually interesting.
Especially with that infiltrate rule. Or that, yeah.
Well,
with the fieldcraft rule.
So
so
if you advance with cavalry, is that 9 inches?
9 inches, yep.
So you could advance 9 inches and still dismount and shoot with your submachine
Yep.
guns?
yeah, you still can dismount. It's not an action to dismount.
Yep. You dismount as part of an advance action.
I think that's totally worth 2 points.
I agree.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. So
That's nice. Yeah.
so
hold
it
on,
makes
I
them
like that.
150 points for a 10-man squad.
Correct.
But
with SMG.
yeah, so it's also worth noting
You know
it's
what? You could have 2 units of those and ride them up through your into cover quotes. Okay, I mean you're paying attention to where you're playing.
yeah.
With your bombs
Yes.
in the middle of your bombs.
Yes.
That's brutal. That's freaking brutal.
Yes. It's ridiculous. Can be.
Now who
The
makes
shooting from
models?
horseback was just gravy on top. I mean, you don't really bother doing that.
Well,
But
you
that's
can't.
when they
So.
dismount, they're still tough fighters.
Yeah, no, that's actually pretty good.
If I could have made them veteran, I'd have found a way to pay the points to make them veteran.
The big downfall of the all cavalry list is they can't take Panzerfausts.
Correct, yeah. But, whatever. You deal with tanks in more creative ways then. You
Sure,
can still take a bazooka team
still can take a bazooka team, or you
and a VW Beetle.
can still take infantry squads if you want to. There's nothing
And
stopping you.
I mean, you can use your bombs to kind of funnel any tanks that you're facing, or if you put them in a situation where they're afraid to advance,
Yeah,
which means then they're not moving, which means they're going to be easier to hit for your artillery, or getting your bazooka into position and those kinds of things.
for sure.
Absolutely. So that's the European list. And then I was having some fun. I was asking Pat on this because I couldn't remember the rule on it. If the native irregulars were usable by every army or just the theater book armies. And the reason I want to use them is A, they're a veteran infantry squad, and B, their deployment rule. With partisan, they have the field craft already, and they have a better deployment rule, so you're not losing. So
They advance deploy.
right,
You're right.
the
They're like
irregulars
snipers. Yeah.
Don't get the army special rules now, but the irregulars come with the partisan special rules already. So who gives a damn?
Right, and the bombs still are bombs. The
bombs are still
unit doesn't
bombs.
give a shit about them.
And you can forward deploy these guys now. Forward deploy guys that can be hidden and ambushed
Because
with
they already
bombs.
have fieldcraft. Yeah.
Yep. Who can be veterans. So a 10-man veteran squad and the sergeant's got an SMG just for the hell of it is 133 points.
Can you give them all SMGs?
No, you can only give one guy an SMG. But
Yeah, they have to have some drawback.
Right.
yeah. So this one, this is
Gurkha, say hello.
Right.
yeah, that's right. So occupation. So you got the native irregulars
Okay.
because they have a good matching set of rules that Filipino guerrillas would have had. You still take the regular mortar team. You still take the vet sniper. You still take the bazooka team and the flamethrower. Sorry, the native irregulars is their own thing.
Native irregulars is just
They're
that
the
one
David
unit.
Pumpkins. They're their own thing.
Yeah.
But 4 of them being able to advance deploys 4 veteran squads in a partisan list where you can have bombs and oh my god, get out of
Which
here!
is probably exactly why they'll come back and say that no, you can't do that.
Dear God, don't do it. But that being said, it would make sense if native irregulars could be in a partisan list, specifically because that's exactly the kind of rules a partisan squad should have in the Pacific Theater. And particularly with the Philippines, there's a very successful partisan movement there during the Japanese occupation. So,
Yeah, and then probably is just going to be those it's China, Japan, and the British Commonwealth that were involved in Empire in Flames.
right. Which again, it's like, hey, you can only use those in a Burma theater, and it's like, well, what's so terribly different between the Burma theater and the Philippine theater?
And that was my argument too. I said, well, you know what? If you have a partisan squad that's in this theater, why not that? So
because they haven't written the book yet, guys.
And see, going back one, what campaign book would I like to see? Philippines.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I'd love to see and maybe it's coming. I mean, we just did the Marianas and Palau. Maybe they're going to work their way through the island hopping campaign and get to the Philippines. Maybe they'll even give us an Okinawa Iwo Jima book at some point. That'd be cool. But the Philippines one, nobody really pays attention to that.
No, right?
No, other than MacArthur and his bit, but
right, exactly, MacArthur and the people that live in the Philippines.
Yeah. They were probably very aware of it.
They're very aware of it, but like our history talks about the island hopping campaign because that's the one that got us closer to Japan faster.
Right.
So we kind of just gloss over the other half of the Pacific campaign. But yeah, so those are my two partisan lists. I feel like they're slightly more, I don't know, well-rounded might not be the best word, but not as focused.
Yeah.
I didn't take any of those giant inexperienced squads or small inexperienced squads with pistols. This is much more of a standard bolt action.
Yeah, it's not gimmicky.
I feel like that's more like what we're used to and familiar with. So,
yeah. I mean, I know I spent 10 minutes talking up how good those inexperienced pistol squads can be in giant numbers. I didn't put a single one.
Well, I mean, and it's a fair point. I mean, I really feel like I don't appreciate the inexperienced units as much as I should. So
I've never put an experienced unit on the table.
Yep.
I have, and I've never been happy with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I'm doing it just because I have never really done it before.
Yeah. It's very unforgiving. It can be very powerful
right.
if used right, but it's very unforgiving.
Well, I figured 20 order dice was giving me some forgiveness.
Yeah.
That was my goal, right?
Yeah. Oh boy, I worry about how many dice you're going to start bleeding.
Oh no, it would bleed dice. It would be a piñata of order dice for sure.
Well, at least not Italians.
Yeah, you're not Italians.
Take a whack at Rick's dice bag.
Yeah, just
dice everywhere.
Oh man,
I want to throw this thought out here because I almost wrote a third list here. I'm just going to throw this thought out here, and this is kind of bad, but I'm going to say it. I think I actually, if I was going to play an Italian list, I would play them I'd use the partisan rules because they don't suck so bad.
Right? No, well, no,
you can
they're
do
opposite.
everything you want to do with an Italian list in a partisan list,
so
including
would that be late war, like northern Italy when
they started fighting back?
No, well, I mean, you could, but this would literally be like, here's my Italian army, except it's using partisan rules.
I mean, I understand from a gameplay aspect. I'm just thinking more historically, like, where does that fit in kind of thing?
Yeah, that fits in very late war.
Okay.
Post Anzio. In fact, it'd be the fascist loyalists after Italy flipped sides.
Sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
So you could do it.
You absolutely could.
Yeah, I'm not as big of a fan of that either, Jeff. Just from they've got their own rules, kind of like be a little bit.
Yeah, but they made shit rules for the Italians.
For sure.
I'm use rules that don't suck.
Not gonna say you're wrong.
If you're gonna put down two plates and one of them is a shit sandwich and one is a beautiful steak, I'm gonna eat the steak.
Yeah, well, partisans are definitely no shit sandwich. That's for sure. You opened my eyes. I looked at the cavalry again. I'm like, oh, that's actually really good. I really like the cavalry now.
Cavalry with overlapping minefield. I'm just like...
Well, it also gives you the ability to reroll morale tests. Yeah, I mean, that's not a huge deal. Like, I'm not like going to put a huge thing on that, but it is the only unit in the army where you're ever going to get to do that because
now I'll flank with them because they don't get the minus to outflanking.
Right, so they
have mobility when they come on, and you can dump them off and just spray SMG fire if you want to.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you get a truck then at that point?
Because the horses are cheaper than
are cheaper than a truck, and the biggest problem with
but the truck doesn't go away. You keep that order dice, and it's probably gotten.
But with the argument being is like if you're outflanking,
I get out of the truck, I've got to micromanage that truck so it doesn't end up close to.
It becomes a liability, and you lose the order dice sometimes.
I still think that
I'd take the
cavalry for me. It's that field craft, that first turn,
run,
get up.
Yeah, move 18 that first turn.
That's also great. Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things where you can look at the board and determine which way is better. If flanking is going to be better play for the scenario and the board, then the horses give you that advantage.
It's all about flexibility.
Sorry to
Give you that advantage. So
sorry to go back to the beginning of this conversation. As far as fieldcraft goes, you can maneuver and then end up in hidden ambush, or is it one or the other?
no, it's after deployment before the game starts is when you are determined that you can be with. When you start hidden, you start the game hidden and in ambush.
Wait, say that again.
It's during setup, any unit can start the game hidden.
Oh, right. Okay, so you can't have already done. Yeah, okay.
So you can't run the horses up and then put them in ambush.
Okay.
No, okay, so it's not the fieldcraft that I'm looking for them to take advantage. It's being able to ignore any movement penalties on that.
Right. Yeah, I was just making.
Also in fieldcraft. That's the second half.
Yeah, they're both the same rule.
All right, so it's that part of fieldcraft that I'm
it's a big rule.
Yeah, it's like it is two rules in one, essentially. But I just wanted to. I was trying to figure out if you could somehow get them hidden after you've moved them up into position.
No, but I mean, with being able to move through any kind of ground as it's open, I mean, damn.
Sure.
You could run them up behind, line of sight blocks.
Well, and I guess,
so you can move through buildings, straight through
fences.
Well, and I guess I'm not taking into consideration the fact that they could still start in hidden. It just makes them that you can't shoot them before they move, right? So they would still get an opportunity to run before they're getting shot at potentially.
Well, yeah, if they're hidden,
right? But you would hide them at the beginning of the game.
Dice.
So if you put them on the field, you put them down as hidden because they're near some kind of cover.
Right. Well, hidden doesn't take their dice though, Dale. But,
well, no. What I'm saying is, and so this is where maybe having all those order dice with the play that you're making with those cheap, inexperienced units. If you have a couple of units to take advantage of all those order dice, which means you can bank those order dice. Mm-hmm. Those cavalry are going to be hidden. Super hard to shoot, and then you just get that 9-inch move to plop them into wherever and SMG the shit out of
whatever.
You've got 5 dice after they've pulled all of theirs. So
yeah, and I mean that was. I think I'd have to go back to the drawing board a little bit and maybe look at what I've got as far as like inexperienced squads versus experienced versus veteran, or like regular.
After talking, I'm going back to our list.
No, Jeff opened my eyes to a couple things too, for sure. But, well, damn it! Now we have to do Partisans 3.0.
I didn't see any Partisan cavalry miniatures in any of these manufacturers.
I haven't been able to find any.
So
bicycle models and count them as cavalry.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, most of your maybe that might not be fair. I don't know that Partisans primarily were active in an urban environment. So I'm sure.
And I don't know that that would follow the what you see is what you get rule either.
I suspect Partisans would have access to bikes more readily than actual horses too. So depending on the kind of partisan.
What is the name of 3D Wargaming? There are cavalry models on this. Is it 3D Wargaming? Which one is the one that Dewey Cat participates in?
Wargaming
3D.
Oh, oops.
Okay, sorry. We're that area here.
Wargaming was the this German supermortar.
Yeah, that's what I was. It's super confusing because they're basically the same thing.
I really like, but I don't know that I like it enough to spend as much money.
Oh my god, that's so much money. It's so expensive.
It's like a starter smoker.
Yeah, I'm find a picture of this sprue because I have an idea how to make this work. But so the Perry miniatures. Stay with me here. American Civil War cavalry. If that rider's 2 pieces, you clip him at the waist and you put the partisan on top. That's horses. That's dudes.
Perrys are usually like true smaller. 28 millimeter.
Right, but what War Game Atlantic?
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
I'd have to get the miniatures in my hand to figure that out. If they're true 28 millimeter as well, then it's kind of like, well, hey, that works. I'm just trying to find horses because if you could find, because I don't know where you're going to find.
Oh, damn it.
Guys riding horses.
Hold on. I found them for you.
Oh?
Hold on. I got it. I was on my other computer, unfortunately. So there's no way for me to get them into a thing where I could post them in Discord.
First world problems right there.
Right? It's such a first world problem. I'm on my other computer.
On my other computer.
Yeah, Rick's got it set up in the basement like the Matrix, It's like
so there's
the Cossacks,
the Cossacks would work. Although you don't get SMGs with them, you'd have to probably do something with their helmets.
Up here. Okay, well that's kind of a pisser. The Civil War cavalry ones, the rider's a single piece, so that's a lot of converting. Horses are fine, though. The horses are separate, so you could just use the horses.
Are you looking at
no matter what time period you have?
Right, horses don't, yeah.
I actually, as far as the Cossacks go, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking about the Parries.
The Parries.
The Cossacks are very unique looking, but if you're doing Russian Partisan, it'd be just...
Yeah, I think you'd have to do Soviet Partisans at this point.
Yeah.
But it's an option. You're right, they're pretty unique. You wouldn't be able to find something else. But I was looking at them, like, trying to find good Polish Lancers a while ago, and I couldn't find those either. And I was like, you probably would end up kit bashing the shit out of like 14 different kits to get
it'd be a labor
partisan
of love.
cavalry. It would probably be worthwhile labor of love.
Well, let's add something to the list. Convert at least one model.
You mean convert one squad?
There you go.
I've already got that. I can check that one off. Oh shit! I probably have to do it this year though. Damn it. Well, I'll continue to work on them when I can. Unfortunately, I think the Romanians have become not a labor of love anymore.
They become just an absolute.
Just a labor, just sheer labor at this point. But yeah, I'm gonna.
Oh, those are all resin prints too, Rick.
I know. I mean, if they were resin, this is one of the units I was looking at. If I was getting a resin printer, was the one that I posted in the Discord.
Yeah.
As far as like, yeah, it was a pretty sweet cavalry squad. But I was also like, I really wanted Polish Lancers. I'm like, I want whoever this guy is, Mr. 3D Print, to make me Polish Lancers instead of Soviet what's that? Cossacks. Cossacks. God, I can't talk.
It's okay.
It's 12:45 at night. Yeah, it's probably what's killing me here. So I'm sure people have more questions than answers at this point as far as partisans go. But
that was our point, right?
Yeah. No, I think again to Jeff's point, I feel like it's one of the most flexible lists you can make. In a lot of ways, it does give you a lot of options. I mean, I guess it's as flexible as some others, but
and their rules don't suck.
The rules actually don't suck.
Well,
you don't get a free order dice, but
I will take free bombs instead.
I feel like these rules reward good tactical play.
Yeah,
I would say yes. It probably is true. So I'd probably suck at them.
If someone were to show up at a GT tournament with a Partisans list ad, they probably know what they're doing.
Probably. I will also say that there is some. Yeah, as I say, there's also some benefit as being probably a partisan player at this point, is because it's not very regularly played, that people are going to be less than familiar with how to play against them. Right? Yep. Those bombs might be more intimidating than they should be. You might be like, oh, I need to stay away from those, when in reality it's only going to blow up on a 6.
The counterplay for the bombs isn't in our current meta.
No.
You need small disposable units.
Right, like my cheap-ass little infantry units.
Right.
Yep. You still might lose order dice, but you might lose them anyway. You put a big-ass squad on top of one of those bombs, it might be gone anyway, too. Right? Like...
Yeah. Like I said, I lost a 10-man Gurkha squad to it. That was very painful and very tough to come back from.
Yeah, that hurts. Mm-hmm. Well, too many eggs in one basket, and it got cooked.
I still won the game.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. All right. Well, so there you go, Partisans. We will be back in February as normal, right? Once a month at this point still.
Yep.
We will be talking about the Dutch. Who talks about the Dutch? My goodness.
Dutch do.
Well, okay.
He's got a point.
Fair. We will.
They weren't just in Europe.
Right? No, that's a good point.
No, they weren't. Yeah.
And then Greece or Bulgaria as well. So I think we're going to cover some of the smaller factions. I don't know. You told me it was my choice, but I'm not going to choose right now because it's late and I don't want to be pigeonholed into a choice.
Make commitments.
Yeah, I don't want to commit to one and be like, oh, I really wish I'd picked Bulgaria.
Yeah, let's not offend a whole country.
Greece and Bulgaria are both great places.
I think you pronounced them both correctly, though. So
I'm guessing I didn't. That's probably. I'm sure they don't pronounce them that way themselves, but maybe they do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows? And the Dutch are not a country, are they?
Jesus.
Oh my God.
No, it's not. I know they're not.
Oh no.
Anyway, we're gonna call it a night because I'm exhausted. How about you guys? Are you tired, or you want to keep going?
I think I'm ready to wrap this.
All right.
I'm good.
All right, Pat, roll us out.
This is SNAFU. Happy New Year. Over and out.
Ooh.
Over and out, guys. Thanks.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks
Enjoy
for
the music.
listening.
Bye-bye.
I'm not the guy who cared about love, and I'm not the guy who cared about fortunes and such. Never cared much.
Oh, look at you now.
I never knew the technique of kissing. I never knew the thrill I could get from your touch. Never knew much.
Oh, look at you now. You're a new man, better than Casanova at his best.
With a new heart, a brand new start, I'm so proud I'm busting my vest.
So you're the guy who turned out a lover.
Yes, I'm the guy who laughed at those blue diamond rings. One of those things.
But look at you now.
He's not the guy who cared about love, and he's not the guy who cared about fortunes and such. Cared about much, but look at him now.
I'm a lover.
He never knew the technique of kissing. He never knew the thrill he could get from her touch. Never knew much, but look at him now.
Man, I really come on.
He's a new man, better than
Casanova at his best, rider.
with a new start, a brand new heart.
He's so proud he's busting his vest. So he's the guy who turned out a lover. So he's the guy who laughed at those blue diamond rings. One of those things.
But look at me now.
He's a new man, better than Casanova at his best. He's got some new job and it's really fine.
Why, I'm so proud I'm busting my vest.
He's a lover. Yes, we know he's a lover. Yes.
I laughed at those blue diamond rings. Just one of those things.
But look at him now.
Jack, I'm ready.
Look at him now.
Yeah, but we're doing it again. I don't know.
Yeah. That's been like 2 years, though, so now we're smart.
And I'm making the same fucking list.
Sadly, my feelings on bolt action are essentially the same as they have been for the past 3 or 4 years.
For better or for worse?
No, mostly for worse.
Bolt action hasn't changed.
No, it's just, it'd be nice
The
for...
partisan list hasn't changed.
No, yeah.
What works hasn't changed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Last covered in episode...
Plus, I'm old and stubborn, so I'm not going to change.
Partisan's last covered Thursday, July 27th, 2017.
So
Yeah, like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Episode
2.5 years
11,
ago.
Resist the French Connection.